Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
What is this place? It's a place I built for all those podcasts out there, lurking in the shadows, hiding from the persecution of humankind. For them and their families to come and be themselves, void of torches, pitchforks, angry mobs, a place of peace, relaxation, and tranquility.
So it's like a hotel for podcasts?
Yes, exactly. A hotel for podcasts. Way to sum it up.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
What is that? Why is that funny?
It's a funny speech in the first movie.
Yeah. No, the blah, blah, blah thing, I mean.
Oh, yeah. You were all over Twitter saying, why is this funny?
Why
it's
is it
funny.
It shouldn't be that funny.
Hey, look, that could be the headline for this entire
If I just
episode.
sat someone down and I was like, yeah, he says like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't say that. They'd be like, huh? Like, that's like the joke? It's like the big joke?
It's like kind of the biggest running joke. Hello, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
I am David Sims.
It's a Blank Check with Griffin and Dave. It's a podcast about filmographies, directors who are given a series of blank checks after experiencing massive success earlier in their career to make whatever they want. Sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce. Blah, blah, blah.
And then sometimes we just do this.
Sometimes we do this.
It's really nothing to do with anything.
Sometimes I throw a tanty.
A little tant.
I throw a little tant.
A tiny tant.
And I say I want to talk about the Hotel Transylvania movies.
Which you've consistently talked about on this podcast.
It's been a big running thing.
From the start.
Very early on.
You'll bring it up once in a
back in
while.
the Star Wars days, I was like, do you know this movie is fucking good?
Yeah, because
It was a big like stump speech of mine because at the time everyone was like, that movie looks dumb.
I think it was that the second one was coming out like around when we were doing the Star Wars stuff.
I think it was even before that. I think it was literally just off of...
No, the second one came out September 2015. So, you know,
Okay.
we were doing Star Wars.
And the first one's 2012?
Yeah, that's right. They make
Oh.
them every 3 years.
Yeah.
First one premiered at the Toronto Film Festival. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
I think this one premiered at like Cannes, right?
Yeah, it did.
That's crazy.
It won the Palme d'Or.
Mhm.
But this is, I mean, you and I were talking after we saw 3 together.
We saw, we're talking about the
H2
Hotel
Summer
Transylvania
Vacation.
series, right? Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw Summer Vacation together.
And we were talking about how this trilogy is a weird arm wrestling match for auteurship.
That's true. So I guess that's the through line for our show. It's
Right.
got two creative powers,
Yes.
quite both alike in dignity. In Fair Hollywood, where we set our scene.
Uh-huh.
You've got Adam Sandler.
Right.
Did you know that this is the first theatrically released film Adam Sandler has done since Hotel Transylvania 2, apart from like Meyerowitz, which you can kind of count as, but like it's basically a Netflix movie.
Dude just goes to Netflix now.
Like I don't think I can double check this. I don't think he's done like movie.
No, because Pixels was pre. That was his last.
Pixels
big
is
studio film.
15 as well.
Right.
And then you have Hotel Transylvania 2. And then, yeah, apart from Meyerowitz, which got a sort of limited release, he's only done Netflix movies.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Meyerowitz is a Netflix movie. And
Yeah.
I think he's got another Netflix coming out next year.
This franchise remains pretty much the last vestige of Adam Sandler's theatrical career.
Right. And yet, you know what it does?
Huge business.
Make money.
Buffalo box office.
Exactly. It's not like it's not making tons of money.
No. The second one outgrossed the first. This one is outgrossing the second.
Yep.
Which is weird because I feel like this has gone from being my weird little like dark horse franchise that no one even considered. And I most people when I try to sell them out were like, what is this? When did this come out?
Who cares?
Right. And now people are like, oh, those fucking movies.
Right. Now it's just annoying. Now you see the trailer for it and you're like, they keep making this. I have to know it exists.
Without having seen them,
Right,
people are
yeah.
just like, what is this? Some fucking bullshit.
It has to be bad. It just sounds bad. And then the trailer is just like, I don't know, like a bunch of hijinks and Adam Sandler's a vampire. And
These movies do not work well in trailers.
No,
because when you see the gags that are so much about,
it looks like Family Guy shit. It looks like, except like not even, transgressive.
but also like Gendy Tarkovsky is all about like timing.
Yeah.
And so, like, when the gags are fast-paced or when they're slow, it's all about, like, the rhythm around that gag. And when you just cut them back together, it's just like, this looks like just a calamity.
Do you know what else is true about Hotel Transylvania 3?
What?
It's the first time they've released in the summer.
Yes.
So it's upgraded to summer blockbuster. The other ones came out in
They were
September,
September
which is like real doldrum
And it was a
time.
big deal that they were, like, such big September releases. Because everyone thought that was kind of like a punt.
Yeah, right. And then it's like, they do well there. They take it to summer. Harder, you know, they're coming up against your Marvels, your Ant-Man, your, who else we got? Your
Mamma
Equalizers.
Mia's.
Yeah, your Mamas.
Oh, by the way, happy Equalizer weekend, everybody.
Your Fallen Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Your Purges.
And holding its own.
Doing great.
Drac and the Boys.
Yep.
The Drac Pack.
Your Uncle Drew?
Uncle Drew's. Did you see Uncle Drew?
I haven't yet.
You were talking about seeing it. I think, hurry up.
I know.
I don't think it's going to linger.
I just finished production on The Tick, and now I'm eagerly catching up with the 27 movies I need to see.
Right, guys.
Wait, that's what you've been doing?
Yeah, that's why I haven't been here in months.
Oh, that's why we've just been recording the ads alone, the two of us. Okay.
I was kind of
All right.
wondering what happened to Griffin.
Yeah.
You thought I was just late?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time.
Yeah.
For 6 months.
Right.
It wasn't 6. It was like 4.
It was 4. It was a gentleman's 4.
And yeah, really. Well, yeah, is that you? That's your rating?
Yeah, I'm
like D plus.
Broken, by the way. I'm suffering from severe back pain, and I vomited a bunch
We
of
should mention
boy.
Griffin's in a full body cast.
I'm in a full body
So I
cast.
saw the movie with Griffin yesterday, and then after the movie was done, I was like just sort of thinking to myself, oh, maybe we'll like go get some pizza or something. Griffin's like, I have to go, and I was like, oh, you got it? And he's like, yeah, no, I've got to go home. And apparently, you just went home and puked.
I did.
So great.
I've been laid up most of the time. I injured myself doing a dialogue scene.
Congrats.
So I'm doing great.
I mean, I've injured myself like sitting in a chair. I can't really
that's
make
what
fun
this
of
was
you.
like. But the problem is that I also do physically demanding stuff on this show,
That's
so
true.
it
You're
looks
running
really
around.
lame for me to like. To be fair, it was
It was
dialogue.
the straw that broke the camel's back
Correct.
or whatever.
It was the straw that broke the Griffin's back. And so I saw this movie with you yesterday, and I was in immense physical pain the entire time. I went to AMC with the recliner
We
seats.
reclined.
I know, still hurt. And then I puked a bunch afterwards.
And we talked some shit about, Axel and Wonder Park or
Okay,
whatever these things
so
are.
So we go see this movie together, right? We're seeing a fucking weekday matinee, Hotel Transylvania 3. So a lot of the blankies on Reddit going, oh, God, how am I going to go see this movie by myself? I'm going to look like a
wait till you hear
creepazoid.
Ben's story. He was telling me, go on.
So we go to this theater, and it's us, and it's like 4 dads with kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw fucking 5 dog trailers.
A lot of dogs. So you
Same
got
at mine.
Dog
Yeah.
Days.
All these
all of
dog
them-
whatever it's
movies.
called.
All of them coming out in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog
August
Days
is
of Augie
dog
Doggy.
month. And then this is kind of a stealth dog movie. Hotel Transylvania 3
he's
is.
the breakout of
He's just pretty good.
The best.
You loved him.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, Ben, you saw it, I believe. You can tell.
Well,
the
I went to
listeners.
the 11 p.m. showing last night.
Which, it's crazy that they show this movie at 11 p.m.
I know.
It was weird. And I was like,
What theater? Which theater?
AMC 7 and 3rd.
Oh,
same
that's where
same
we saw
fucking
it.
place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have sat in the same seats.
Oh my
You sit in those
God.
handicapped seats in the back.
Did it smell like us? We took the handicap seats because
It was empty. It was an empty theater.
But I was intrigued to see who was going to be there. It was mostly couples.
Were you like a red carpet reporter? Like, who's going to show up?
Yeah.
I was intrigued to see who was gonna be there.
Oh, boy.
It was mostly young couples, like in their early 20s.
Yeah.
There was a couple near me that was kind of like making out. And
They were
doing some
hand-jobbing
heavy-
each other?
Heavy petting.
Yeah.
That was I was like, this is a family movie.
But I could see, say you're 21. The first one came out. You were like 14.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of like you might have made
I
out for
like
the
them,
first
right.
time during a Hotel Transylvania movie. Now that's like a sexual fetish. That was like an activation
I wasn't
point
going
for you.
there. God.
No, but the first time you kiss somebody, it's in the theater seeing
Oh, I
HT1, and then now you're like, look, I can only get it up for Drac and the boys.
I get it. That's why I go to all the Terminator movies.
Wonder why you wouldn't stop talking about your experiencing salvation.
I loved it. But then there was a bunch of guys by themselves, and I saw the ultimate creep. He had a shirt, one of those like, well, I left my other computer at the technology store, and then he had the worst bald hair I've ever seen on a human being in my life.
To try to compensate for?
No,
I'm imagining it's just growing.
Well, I was
there
saying
isn't
that-
a lot left,
yeah.
but it's just growing.
It looks like someone took a fucking thin shit on his head.
Thin shit.
So anyway, we became friends.
Yeah.
And here he is.
I'd like to introduce him to you guys.
It kind of sounds like your theater was full of monsters.
Yeah.
Murray the Mummy.
What is it?
Frank.
How do you know their names?
Wayne the Werewolf.
Frank is Franken, the Frankenstein monster.
Correct.
Right.
Griffin, the Invisible Man.
Which is the name of the Claude Rains character, right? Yeah.
I'm forgetting
Who else we
someone.
got?
Who else we got?
Well, those are the main ones.
Those are the main ones.
I mean, Mavis, obviously.
Blobby.
Blobby, right. Blobby's cool.
Yeah. Johnny Stein.
Johnny Stein, the backpacker.
Denisovich.
His son, only in 2 and 3. Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah,
I
he
mean, then
just-
we get into the supporting cast of this movie, which is just stacked.
But you got because
A
especially
skeleton.
there's like a
Floating brain guy.
I was going to say, floating brain guy's
floating
the best.
brain. There's like a suit of armor in at least one or
A
two
couple,
of them. Yeah,
Shrunken head door knockers.
shrunken heads.
The
There's-
witches.
There's like a Quasimodo. John Lovitz is a Quasimodo.
Big part main antagonist of the first one could
Yeah,
argue.
Yeah.
Vlad, of course.
Who's the guy-
Draxdad.
It was the Chupacabra.
Yeah, we were.
We were like, wait, who's this
Who the
blue
fuck
creature?
is
And
this
then
guy?
and then he was like, is there
One
goats?
goat, please.
And we were like, oh, it's
It's
kind
kind of hot, too.
Yeah, he was kind of hot.
what?
Okay, so context. We're kind of such a context. Let's dig into this thing. Sony Pictures Animation has been this weird ramshackle thing, right?
Uh-huh.
In the post Pixar, post DreamWorks, every studio deciding oh fuck, we need one of those.
Yeah.
Sony and their animation department's always been this sort of odd jalopy of a thing. Because after the big Disney renaissance, everyone tried to do their own hand-drawn stuff.
Okay.
And Fox doubling down with Don Bluth, these different studios trying those things, and they didn't fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. It's a crazy thing to think about. Do you know what the first non-Disney animated film to make $100 million is?
Pondering. Anastasia.
The Rugrats movie.
All right.
Before the Rugrats movie, no non-Disney studio had released an animated
ever cracked
blockbuster.
it. Sure. Yeah.
No one
I
had
mean,
cracked.
the Bluth ones did okay.
Those were doubles or triples. I mean, that was a big deal was when Disney was bombing, the Bluth movie started doing better. So it was Land Before Time did better than Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
But it was still low stakes to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Land Before Time made about 50.
Yeah.
That adjusted, that's 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no one had really cracked it to that degree. Everyone had sort of given up. And then when Pixar took off and then DreamWorks very successfully started piggybacking off of Pixar, they made that hard turn into CGI because DreamWorks was going to be a hand-drawn studio. It was going to be Katzenberg trying to replicate what we had done at Disney. Then everyone said, oh, we can just fucking do that. You get some animals, they raise one eyebrow, cast some funny characters.
Sounds good so far. Well, but what was DreamWorks Animation? They have ants. What else they have?
Well, and then Shrek was the huge breakthrough. And then
they
they
had ants, though.
They had Ants, a
Ants
very
with a
well-written
Z.
movie.
And you see, if you think about it, the ant is called Z,
Yes.
and it's like Ant Z. That, it's about him.
And also, it's here's the title is Ants with a Z, and the movie you're going to see is Ants with a Z.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And they made the Prince of Egypt.
Right, which made $100 million.
That's
That was
2D. Right.
right.
That did well.
But that's what they thought they were going to do. They had this company PDI who they were having produce animated films for them, and I think that was just a secondary kind of thing. That was mostly just an ego battle against Pixar, and then those start really working.
Right.
And then the other hand-drawn DreamWorks movies, Road to El Dorado, Sinbad, are bombing hard.
Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron,
Right.
aka Cimarron, Stallion of the Spirit.
Titan AE bombed really hard.
Yep.
So everyone's closing up shot. And
Stallion, Spirit of the Cimarron.
there's this thing that I find very interesting. Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
Spirit Cimarron of the Stallion.
Cimarron, Stallion of the
I
Spirits.
think I did that one already.
There's a thing I find very interesting, which is that with animation in the feature world, it feels like the die is cast by whatever the first thing is.
Okay.
So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, first big American.
Sure, so we're going to do a lot of fairy tale revivals.
For decades, that was the notion. That's what you
princesses, sure.
If another studio is going to make an animated film, that's what it's going to be. It's got to be a musical. It's got to be a fairy tale or at least some sort of folk tale or something, right? There's a similar thing with like Nightmare Before Christmas being the first major stop motion film. Most stop motion movies are still about monsters.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because it's like herky-jerky and creepy.
Right.
Right.
And I think the same thing happened with Toy Story, where it's like, this is what the comedic sensibility of a CGI movie is.
Which is what? Like...
Oh, the characters are a little more adult. They're a little more knowing. It's placing sort of like comedic personalities into a weird world.
I feel like another thing, though, that's even more important is that they're star-driven.
That's
right.
I said comedic personalities. You're taking the people's voices, not
like,
just literally, but
when
also,
you're making Shark Tale,
Yes.
like the little fish should look like Will Smith, and the big shark should look like De Niro.
Yes.
And all that. And Scorsese's like a clownfish or whatever.
Well, that's like the
Lion
DreamWorks
fish.
apex where they break it down into some sort of like really crass mathematical formula for what people want out of these movies. Oh, it feels like one of those things, and then other studios are trying to do that as well,
All
right?
Well, yeah, get to your point. That's enough.
So Sony is throwing like a lot of darts at the board. Apparently, one of the things that came out in like the Sony hacks, there's a lot of really interesting shit Hotel Transylvania that came out in the Sony hacks.
Interesting.
If you knew where to look, which I did.
Where no one was looking? Is that where you were looking?
Yeah.
So, can you tell me Sony's first animated film?
Open Season.
How do you know that?
I know this shit. This is the only value I have in the world.
Values. That's putting it strong.
It's all I got.
Can you name the stars of Open Season?
Yes, I can. Martin Lawrence and Ashton Kutcher. I believe Deborah Messing's the female.
Correct. And the villain?
I don't know who the villain is.
Gary Sinise.
Really?
Steppenwolf's own.
And he played Steppen the Wolf?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
No, he plays like a hunter or something. Isn't it about like hunting?
I think so. Who knows?
It's Open Season.
I didn't see it.
Sure.
And that was one that was just sort of like marginal, didn't do very well.
Yeah, then they had Surf's Up.
Right.
Oscar nominated. It's got penguins.
Yeah.
Kind of cute, right?
A lot of these things I like haven't seen, and that sort of were like box office like doubles or triples at best.
And then they had Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs,
Which is kind of a breakthrough.
that's
for
a good movie. Does well, critically
Yes.
well received.
Launches Lord Miller into their feature film career.
Then it's a little patchier. Can you tell me the next one from Sony?
Well, in between, you're missing a Monster House.
Oh, that's not on this.
Maybe
on
because
this
I guess
list
it
of
was
mine.
produced by the Zemeckis Imageworks rather than by Sony Pictures Animation.
Sure. Was it just
Okay.
like released by Sony?
Right.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
released by Columbia. Right.
So next thing after,
It's 2 years later.
not Smurfs.
It's the Smurfs.
Right.
Yeah.
They count those.
Yeah. And then
Those two. And then
they're hybrid, obviously.
Right.
There's also
Goosebumps,
actually-
they file as a Sony Animation.
they do.
Yeah.
That's sort of weird.
Yeah.
There's Arthur Christmas.
Which is fine.
Is that CG or is that clay?
That is CG
To look like clay.
Aardman. Yeah.
Mhm. And then the Pirates, that's
Really
clay.
good.
That's cute.
Yeah.
And then in 2012,
Mhm.
America gets a gift, gets a check-in to the Hotel Transylvania. I'm done. I
Now,
don't
this
know.
is why
That's
this
it.
context is important. Because you asked me right before we recorded, is this based off some fucking book or something? And it's quite the opposite.
Okay.
This is one of those things that we often mock as just like this fucking industry.
Right.
Where some guy went in with like a 20-minute presentation on a franchise.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what
Who
Hotel
was it?
Transylvania is. I'm going to get the guy's name for you. He wrote and directed like 2 movies in the 80s. And other than that, like this is now his breadwinner.
Is it Todd Durham?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I'm reading about this guy. Studied comedy writing.
Right. Tales
You
of the Third
know,
Dimension and Hyperspace in 1982 and 84.
He comes in with the pitch, doesn't write the movie. He gets
No.
a story credit. The
Yeah.
movie's written by Robert Smigel, who's like a Sandler mainstay. He's
And Peter Bainham, who's a
British
Renato
comedy mainstay.
Iannucci,
Yeah,
Sacha
he's
Baron
a
Cohen
funny guy.
Right.
I think he worked on Borat, and
Yeah.
but he also worked on like all the great Chris Morris, like Brass Eye, Day to Day,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah,
but
funny.
this guy just comes in and goes, here's the pitch for a franchise. Here's 6 movies, here's 4 TV shows, here's action figures, here's video games, here's apps. It's one of those things you hear where it's just like, he sold them just an empty box. It was like, it's a hotel full of monsters. Here's all the different things you could make out of it. He didn't even really pitch storylines.
Yeah.
It was just like, you could put these characters in anything.
Yeah.
And you can open a hotel
And you could open a hotel.
Hey.
for humans.
It does feel like it's a big miss that Sony doesn't have like a theme park sort of connection and can't have like a Hotel Transylvania at a theme park, like a hotel.
Right.
Or a Motel Transylvania or whatever.
Get a bunch of ghouls and zombies walking around.
Here's my first question.
Yes.
It's not really a hotel. They all seem to just sort of live there.
Yeah, correct.
It's a residential hotel, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just a housing community.
It's sort of like the Florida Project.
Like, you know, like,
yes.
are they always on vacation? Like, does the werewolf have like a job that he's busy? Like, you know, is he taking a break?
That's what's odd. It's also odd that in 3...
They go on a vacation. And
the entire hotel.
As Dracula points out, they live in a hotel.
Employees and customers alike.
Oh my God.
David, do you want them to go do their taxes and go over their income in the movie? Come on.
I'd genuinely be interested
You
to
want to
know
see them go make
how
a
much is
withdrawal
going
from the
in and how much is
ATM?
going out. Like, how does the mummy pay his rent?
Yeah, it's more like...
He's a mummy.
It's like Hostile Transylvania.
Like, look, the werewolf has like 5,000 children. Like, how's he supporting all them? And he's paying like, you know, $300 a night for a bedroom.
But this was the crux of
what's going on?
The crux of the pitch was the idea of where do monsters go when they need a break?
Sure, that was his pitch.
Right. Here's a
Do you think
hotel
he,
with all the
He
monsters.
actually stood up and he was like, where do monsters go when they need a break? And everyone was like, huh?
Slide.
Who's this guy?
He had the clicker in his hand. He's wearing the turtleneck with the little glasses.
Oh my God. Like, because to me,
And one more thing.
it's a weird pitch because it's like, I feel like the pitch should more just be like, we all know Adam Sandler. Click. You know, he had just the Dracula voice. Click. All right.
Remember the movie Click?
He does
Click.
Dracula. Okay. And they live in a hotel or something. All right. Where's my $100 million?
But this is the thing. It takes almost 6 years for Adam Sandler to become part of this thing.
Okay. That's weird. That should have been.
He pitches it, and they're just so desperate for shit. Sony's like, how do we do that Pixar thing? This guy comes in, and he goes, you'll make sequels. And they go, sequels? We want those.
Sure. Good.
Like, that was the pitch, was these movies will be successful. And they were like, great. Buy the pitch from him. And they go, wait, we need a script.
Okay. So, okay.
Genndy Tartakovsky is the 5th director announced for this movie.
All right.
It becomes this joke within like
Sixth.
Sixth.
Yeah.
It becomes this joke within the dumb animation blogs that I read for losers. That it's like this fucking Sony movie that they bought in like 2003. They're never going to make it. Every 2 years, they announce someone new as the director of Hotel Transylvania.
So here's who they had. I'm not going to say all their names, but first they had like one of the guys who worked on Open Season. Then they had the lady who worked on Open Season. Then they had the guy who made Surf's Up. Then they have a guy who literally doesn't even have like a link for his name that I've just never heard of.
Yeah.
And then finally, yes, Tartakovsky. His feature debut,
Yes.
but he's well known, obviously, for his work on Dexter's Lab,
which is the first Cartoon Network animated series.
Samurai Jack,
which is him reinventing himself as sort of an action dude.
good.
Off of that, Lucas reaches out to him, gives him Clone Wars.
He
We've
also worked
covered
on
it.
the Powerpuff
Fucking
Girls, although he didn't create it.
He went to college with all those guys, so he would direct on all that
He, like, wrote
first
and produced
bunch of Cartoon Network original series.
It's all the same.
They were all
friends,
kind of
right?
bosom buddies, and they all worked on each other's shows. And then he, after Samurai Jack and Clone Wars, which are kind of these mainstream breakthroughs for him because they were more serious and they were so like action heavy, Hollywood got kind of interested in him outside the animation community. And there was like, oh, we're going to make a Samurai Jack movie. Never materialized, right? New Line set up that they were going to do a Samurai Jack animated film, and also Brett Ratner was going to direct a live action Samurai Jack adaptation. They were going to do both of them. Then neither of them got off the ground. Like 6 years later, when J.J. Abrams had gotten really big, he was like, I'm putting Bad Robot's name behind Samurai Jack. We're going to make a Samurai Jack movie. Never happened. Jim Henson courted him. He was going to do a Dark Crystal sequel. Active pre-production for years. Never happened. All these things he's like kind of signing on to. It's not going, right?
Yep.
He does another show for Cartoon Network called Symbiotic Titan that got kind of dumped by them. I've never even seen it and was
Terrible
canceled.
name.
Yeah, canceled really quickly. And he was at a point of frustration after that. And Sony comes up and poaches him and goes,
Sure,
how do you want to make a movie?
Right.
Here's the stable of things we have. Here's this fucking Hotel Transylvania thing we bought that we haven't been able to make work. And he goes, I like monsters. He read the script they had. I don't know if it was part of the original pitch or it came through in one of the 5 other directors. But the notion of the Romeo and Juliet thing, the human who lands, falls in love with Dracula's daughter, that was there. And he said when he read it, that was like, it was very much a almost Twilight adjacent serious romantic movie.
Yeah.
About the monsters. And their 2 big moves were, let's get Genndy Tartakovsky. He's one of the best animation directors alive. No one's letting him make a movie. Let's get him on something. And move 2 was Sandler is still Sony's big guy at this point in time.
Of course. Along with Will Smith.
2010, 2009.
Tale.
Right. Those were their 2 guys, were Will Smith and Adam Sandler.
Yep.
Those were Sony's big in-house movie stars. And so they said, we could hand this to Will Smith. We could hand this to Adam Sandler.
Sure.
He can bring all his cronies with him.
Sure.
That's our whole voice cast. That'll give it a comedic sensibility. Plus a pop star. It was originally announced as Miley Cyrus.
Right, and then they replaced her with Selena Gomez, I think, when Miley Cyrus got too extreme.
Says you want to focus on her music, like her Dead Pets.
Yeah.
And so they were like, that's the comedy. Let's get Tartakovsky. He's a brilliant visual filmmaker. That's the movie. We're just going to... Chocolate, peanut butter, 2 great taste great together. That was the notion. But I think this movie was seen as kind of damaged goods. And certainly within the animation community, it was scoffing of like, look at this Hail Mary pass.
Right.
They're throwing Sandler on this thing. They're going to turn it into like a shitty Grown-Ups with monsters. And I feel bad for Tartakovsky that he's stuck on this thing.
Yeah.
I remember when the trailer came out, I was like so depressed that he had directed this movie. Mm-hmm. I was like, this looks so dumb. I find it so annoying this guy can't get a real movie made. I missed a flight when I was in LA.
Sure.
The next flight I could get on was 12 hours later.
Right.
I had all my luggage there. I was like at LAX, which is sort of like far off, away from anything.
Okay.
So I was like, fuck, what am I going to do for 12 hours? I found a local movie theater.
See a movie.
Right.
Get in and out, see a movie.
So I said, oh, right. There's this animated monster film that just came out from a director I really like. I should go see that. And I went and saw Frankenweenie.
All right. Tim Burton.
Okay. Was deeply sort of meh on Frankenweenie.
Pretty meh movie.
Right.
His animated movies are pretty bad.
And I was like, fuck, Frankenweenie got these good reviews. That's such a bummer.
Gets an Oscar nomination.
More time to kill. I don't know. I guess I'll sneak into Hotel Transylvania. But after Frankenweenie, my expectations are basement low. Sure. Right? Yep. And I sit there watching this and I go, I'm here. Downtown Griffin Nooms.
In downtown LA.
I'm watching an American masterpiece.
Boy.
How's everyone sleeping on this fucking thing? Mm-hmm. This movie's breaking ground for character animation and CGI.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he's bringing back the principles of classic cartooning.
You've said this on this very podcast.
To a medium that has been pretty rigid so far. And I love me my Pixar.
This was nominated for a Golden Globe.
And was snubbed by the Oscars.
It was. I don't think it was going to ever get an Oscar nomination.
But see what else got nominated that year.
Okay, I'll try and find out. It is that kind of crappy year.
It was a bad year.
Because it's the year that...
Cars 2?
Was Cars 2 nominated?
No, it wasn't. But it was the year of Cars 2 where Pixar was... Or it was Brave?
Brave won that year. Here are your nominees.
This is the year Paranorman should have won.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Brave's probably the worst.
Yeah.
Brave, Frankenweenie, which is also not great.
No.
Paranorman, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
The Pirates, which is a lot of fun.
I really like.
And Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which is a great time.
And I think everyone thought Ralph was going to win.
No.
He was going to wreck it. I thought he was going to wreck it.
I think people honestly didn't know what was going to win, and I think a lot of voters are just like, Brave's the Pixar one? Sure. Check. Whatever.
I genuinely believe most of them didn't see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They were like, it's the she's like a girl, the princess with an arrow.
The hair?
Great. Yeah. They've got big red hair. Sure.
Yeah.
It wins. And then you have that really awkward speech where like the first director who was fired is like shoved off stage by the second director.
Uh-huh.
Real weird.
Yeah. Who's like, I made this movie inspired by her daughter.
Yeah.
So the point is, I'm not going to nerd out about this too much. Ben is already putting his head in his hands. The big thing is that CGI animation, as opposed to hand-drawn animation, is more an art of manipulation.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're drawing, you can draw anything you want for any frame. And that encourages a real sort of boundary stretching of how these characters can move.
Sure.
Certainly when you get to the most expressive animation, you get to sort of like Bob Clampett and Tex Avery and Chuck Jones.
Tex Avery. Right.
And these guys who really distort...
I know Tex Avery. He's laughing at me.
Movement and pose.
Yeah.
These things that Tarkovsky... Right.
Stretch. Right.
But this notion of creating tension through physicality only.
Right.
Whether it's comedic tension or dramatic tension, you know? That's Tarkovsky's whole thing. Because Samurai Jack, Clone Wars, that's all about tension through pose. It's just in service of action and dramatic storytelling. But it's also very minimalistic animation.
Yeah.
Those characters don't move a lot until they suddenly do. But there are those long stretches where it's like Mace Windu just posing totally still.
He loves that stuff.
Right, before shit goes crazy.
Right.
But then this is the other side of him, which is using the same sort of principles for a purely comedic thing, which is throwing as much elasticity and movement as possible. And that thing that I love, I talked about with the funniest moment in the history of cinema when Violet squirts the water out of her nose.
Very funny.
This notion of, based on your mood, your entire physiology can change. The shape of your skull, your body can totally distort. This sort of very expressionistic physicality, right? Because CGI animation is about manipulation. It's they build a physical model and then they just move that model.
It's like it's a
It's
real
like
toy.
stop motion, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're moving a thing.
Yeah.
Most people don't push animation in that kind of way in the world of CGI of like, okay, if Drac is angry, he's going to get 2 feet taller.
Right. Yes, you're
So
right.
that
They
he
don't.
can
And
hover
this
people.
does. See, I'm glad he talks about this shit because I
Thank
never
you.
think about it. But it's funny. It's funny when Drax suddenly is like all skinny for one moment
Right.
because he's like, I don't know, feeling like ashamed or what, right?
Yeah, but why do you feel like other franchises or other movies don't?
I think that's a Pixar thing in terms of them setting the standard because Toy Story at the time was trying to be sold as, look, it looks real. Like there's a reason why Toy Story was about toys because they knew at that time the best thing that CGI could replicate was plastic.
Yeah, the humans in Toy Story, as we've mentioned
Look
before,
terrible.
look like demons.
Right.
Like they're so scary. They look a little better with every movie.
Yeah,
right.
but they also get more stylized with every movie. They stop pretending that they're going to make them look even vaguely
Sure, but
human.
there was always, in Toy Story 2, the Wayne Knight character,
Yeah.
where they're like, look how like his hair and his eyes, and like we're making, it's all getting more and more detailed and all that. Yeah,
They give up on all of that.
yeah,
But you do watch the first Toy Story, and even just in terms of like the quote unquote lighting in the movie,
right.
they really try to make it look like it's a live action movie.
Yeah.
They're trying to replicate that style, which then other Pixar movies get more sort of expressionistic in their cinematic language.
Okay.
But the models stay pretty rigid. And like Pete Docter talks about, like when he was making Inside Out, he was like, I want to go back to old school cartooning. Inside Out is a far better movie than Hotel Transylvania.
It is.
But in terms of animation, if he's trying to do the same thing, it fails wildly.
Yeah, that's not a movie that does that.
No. And
No.
this is like,
I'm trying to think of any Pixar movie that does.
I think, Ben, the reason why I think Coco came the closest with the way the skeletons move,
Sure.
where
Okay.
that gets a little cartoony.
They're pretty cool.
I think
pretty cool
it was
looking,
viewed
like
as being
skeletons.
out of fashion. Oh, that's sort of kid stuff. That's not cool. In this sort of like post Shrek, like, these movies have to be kind of edgy. They have to be kind of snarky. Or the Pixar thing of like, they have to be really emotionally grounded and heartfelt and sort of like intellectually challenging. That sort of physical comedy seems out of place. It seems at odds with what they're doing. It's like putting, too much like Jerry Lewis slapstick in like a James L. Brooks movie or something.
Right.
I think that's what they think. I think the other thing is it's super technically complicated because you can do that kind of animation with hand drawing because you just have to have the ability to imagine and draw those poses. To be able to make the models for these characters, which are sort of set in stone in the computer, contort into these ways is insane. And that's the thing that people don't get about these movies is they're like, oh, these movies are kind of cheap. They're kind of like silly and plasticky looking. They had to make so many technological breakthroughs on this movie to make it look this simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
There's even shit like clothing and CGI is a nightmare, as is hair.
Right.
So a big thing that's been developed over years and years and years are these like computer programs that just sort of like automate it. If you automate the way that, if you personally animate the movements of the characters, the program will correspondingly move the fabric the right way. Where that gets fucked up is when Tartakovsky comes in and is like, I want Drac going like this and this and that. And there are tests you can see online where they try using the automated AI for the clothing, and his like his cape ends up in the middle of his forehead, like poking out his ear.
Sure.
Like shit like that. Also things like motion blur, which we're used to seeing if people move really fast.
Sure. If you're watching a movie.
Right. And his big thing is
People
this
blur.
like someone standing up straight and then the next frame suddenly they're like curled up in a ball on the floor.
Right.
If you don't have motion blur in between those things, it looks like strobe lighting. But also it's hard to do motion blur because people aren't moving realistically. Right. So he'll do shit like where if a character's moving really fast, he'll literally have, if you go frame by frame, 2 or 3 of that character. So that the motion blur is registering as you can see their movement because they're scanning across the space. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's like they're in 2 places at once.
It's insane shit he's doing.
Right.
So he gets the script, sort of cobbled together. Smigel gives it a rewrite. The Sandler boys come on it. They're going to take care of that stuff. I think Sandler doesn't view this as really one of his movies. He's like, I'm loaning my friends and my name to this thing. I got my buddy to rewrite it, some good jokes, and I'm not going to get hands on an animated movie. This isn't a Happy Madison movie.
Right, it's money. It's like he's making a fun kids movie.
Right, so they record all that stuff, and Tartakovsky just goes buck fucking wild on the animation. They create new programs called like Gendy Blur to be able to like do all this shit, which now other animation studios use.
Yeah.
The movie's coming out in September. Everyone thinks it's like a dump. It looks kind of dumb. Sandler's star's getting a little bronzed. After years of being always consistently $100 million guy. He's had a few flops in a row now.
Yeah, let me actually find out.
Jack and Jill was the first Happy Madison movie to not make $100 million.
And that's 2011.
Right.
And then That's My Boy had come out this year. And that's a big flop. That only makes 36. But he did make it with Sandberg, who's again in this movie.
He was like, Sandberg's going to be my guy. I'm going to make Sandberg. I'm going to pass him down the torch.
And I think more than that, Sandberg's into it. He's just like, I like Adam Sandler. He's funny. Like, I want to do like old Adam Sandler shit. Like, I remember that was his pitch for That's My Boy. It's like, yeah, he's like dirty.
It's
like,
dirty again.
Yeah, it's like, and then everyone saw him and was like, we hate this. I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
And I think the notion was, much like Kevin James, it was like, we're going to go from you co-starring in a couple Happy Madison movies to you getting your own Happy Madison movies.
Right.
And then that sort of didn't happen.
Sandberg just did the show instead.
Right, but this was part of the like Sandberg wedging into the world of like, no, I'm carrying with me into this animated thing too.
Yeah.
And then they sort of hand it off to Tartakovsky, who does all this crazy animation shit that I think no one gets and no one's paying attention to. Mm-hmm. Sony Animation is run by Hannah Minghella, Anthony Minghella's daughter, who has no background in animation, was a Sony exec, and they were like, animation's profitable. Can you do this?
Sure.
Sony Animation notoriously has no corporate culture. There's like no sort of like brand loyalty.
They have the lamest logo too.
Right.
Yeah.
They tried to get Lord Miller to take over after Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball and like be the Lasseters, the non-gropey Lasseters. Right. And they were like, we don't want to run this animation department. But it's why they keep on attaching them to all these things, why they're doing the Spider-Man movie now and all this shit. So it was just like this Odd Duck movie I think people weren't paying attention to. They were mostly trying to sell on Sandler. And then it comes out in September and does weirdly well.
Does well.
And everyone's like, I don't know, it's some dumb kids movie.
Does 100, well, we'll talk about it. Maybe we should do 3 box office games.
We will. But.
Great. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good.
Okay.
But the key here.
You're almost done, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. The key here is that for me, these movies on an animation perspective are kind of like Busby Berkeley musicals.
Okay.
Where like Busby Berkeley was like the fucking master of the musical sequence.
Sure.
And those Gold Digger movies are like so much fun to watch and have hold no water as films.
Sure.
They're mostly just like, here's an incredible artist in the mode of the thing he does really well.
Yeah.
And the plots are kind of excuses to put things together. You have great performers. They're funny jokes. They're really entertaining, but they're not even striving for anything more.
Yeah.
And this feels like him using this premise, and he loves monsters and the visual possibilities of monsters, as just like, let me do everything I wish I could do in an animated film. I don't like CGI. Let me make CGI work the way I want CGI to work.
Isn't it so sad, though, that all these great animators like Bird and Tartakovsky are like, well, I don't really like CGI, but I guess I have to find a way to make it work for me. Like, you know, it's like, just
and he keeps on talking about how he's like trying to get hand-drawn films made at Sony.
Yeah.
And not only can he not get that done, but his own projects can't get done at Sony.
It just feels like them being like, yeah, no, definitely. And then like a year later, they're like, oh, we love money. Do you want to do like Hotel Transylvania 2? Like, are you into that?
Yeah.
Like, we just really like money. Like, I feel like they make a lot of money. And Tartakovsky's probably like, well, I've got this great. And they're like, no, yeah. But like, what if like Dracula's runs a hotel again?
They've announced and canceled, I think, 3 different Tartakovsky movies.
Sad.
Lauren Faust, who is the creator of My Little Pony, the new series that everyone loves, got announced to do a movie. They canceled that as well.
Right.
Like they keep on bringing in his sort of people like with real sort of strong animation backbones and like real voices and visions, and then shit canning their movies.
Yeah.
But this first one I think is the interesting...
It was such a bummer when like he was announced to direct 3. Like it was just such an obvious bummer. Even though the 3 turns out to be good. Like it's just...
Because he does 1, everyone's like, oh wow, this is successful. He signs on for 2, but the clear deal is he signs on for 2, they're letting him set up 2 other projects.
Right.
One's an original thing called Can You Imagine, I think. Gets canceled.
Yep.
The other one was he really wanted to do Popeye. He like fucking loves Popeye.
Like 2D Popeye?
CGI making it look as 2D as possible. There's a test online you can see that's crazy. I would prefer it was 2D, but he like was all about like, I love physical movement. Popeye's the perfect vehicle for that. I'm going to make a fucking Popeye movie. Sony had been squatting on those rights forever. That was just like a brand they bought because they were like, I don't know, Popeye has name recognition. He wrote a Popeye movie, and this is one of the big things that came out in the Sony leak, is all these emails from Amy Pascal being like, I don't fucking get it.
Like she doesn't get the script that he wrote?
Any of it. She's like, wait, why do we like Popeye in the first place? Is this character cool? Do kids like him? And she's like emailing Lord and Miller being like, can you watch this thing and tell me if there's something I'm not getting? And they're like, he's a really fucking good animator. What he's doing here is really interesting. And she was like, I don't know if kids want to see this.
I'm watching it. It's crazy.
It's insane, right?
I can see why Sony was freaked out by this.
Yeah.
Like, because,
This was his full CGI test.
Like
he had a full script, and they did a story reel screening with like the storyboards and temp voices to see the whole movie pre-animated.
Yeah, right.
And they were just like, I don't fucking get this thing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Everyone should look it up. It looks insane. But all this shit gets shit canned after 2. When he says, I'm 100% not coming back for 3. I've done my 2 movies. I had a bad experience doing Hotel Transylvania 2.
He actively says Sandler took that movie over and I just kind of wasn't into it. Like he says this in an interview.
And in the emails where they're talking about canceling Popeye, Amy Pascal's like, on one hand, I don't get this fucking thing.
Right.
On the other hand, like Gendy's a trooper. He really handled that Hotel Transylvania 2 situation really well. Sandler was a nightmare on that.
Wow.
Like Amy Pascal in emails is going like, Sandler would come into the room and give him animation notes. Jesus. Sandler shouldn't be noting him on animation. It's one thing that he no longer had control over the script. Right. It was like Sandler tried to get his hands on everything on 2. And he was like, maybe we should do him the solid, but I don't fucking get this Popeye thing. And they announced Hotel Transylvania 3. They were going to get a new director. He goes on vacation with his family on a cruise ship, and he's like, fuck, you know what? I could do it on a cruise ship.
Cruise ship.
But I wonder now, will they let him make something totally of his own? Because he got this sort of like...
I'm just wondering if they're just like, wow, this is doing really great. Do you like want to do Hotel Transylvania 4?
I guarantee you they're going to back the truck up into his backyard.
Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation 2?
But this feels like...
Go on another cruise?
Like this franchise was like sloppy 6th. It was like a cart before the horse. What if we make 6 of these and no one could figure out how to make 1? He took over and said, what if we take out all the pretenses of this being like a serious thing and make it like Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
Like you just make it like so dense with gags and visual humor and like kinetic design and all of that. But 1 does have like a pretty good emotional spine in a very simple, straightforward family movie kind of way.
Yeah.
I think the Mavis plotline works really well.
Mavis fucking rules.
Mavis rules.
Let's just be upfront about it. Mavis is cool. She's awesome. She's a nice person.
Right. So Hotel Transylvania
happy that
1.
She's doing well and she has a nice family.
Hotel Transylvania 1.
Yeah. All right. Now we just shat all over Sony and like poor Tartakovsky having to do this shit, but it's like, spoiler alert, the movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, you're looking at transfer files.
Wait a second. Are you talking about making the creative process easier for everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what WeTransfer does, my friend.
Look, you don't want to get hacked like Sony. You want those emails getting transferred cleanly.
WeTransfer built their site to be the simplest way to share big files around the world. For free.
All the way to Transylvania.
Or a cruise ship.
Oh, Bermuda Triangle.
There's no sign-in. There's no offer codes. There's no password to forget. You just upload, send, and you get back to making what you make.
Wow, so in that spirit, there's a spirit in the studio who's telling us, we're skipping the rest of this 60-second ad, getting right back into the podcast.
WeTransfer.com. You make WeTransfer. Yeah, just go there, send your files around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ghost is spooky.
Yeah, right? So the first Hotel Transylvania is Dracula, single father.
Yep.
We start the movie with him tending to his daughter.
Correct.
It's a very cute opening.
Yeah, it is.
And he's going full tilt on the animated wackiness.
Right. Being silly.
But also, it's just like nice to open a movie with like 3 minutes of a guy being a good dad.
Okay. I mean, the whole movie is him being, he's a decent dad.
I know, but they don't saddle you with the tragic backstory at the beginning. I like that they don't start with the wife's death.
Yes, that's true. It's not like Finding Nemo where like it leads with horror.
Right. They just like open on a fun note of watching him chase her around. They both have powers and she's on the ceiling and all of that.
Right.
And he just starts dreaming of a sanctuary, a place where they can be safe from the outside world. That's the big notion of the first movie.
Yeah, but like it's like a 5-star hotel. It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
This is honestly my only problem with the whole franchise is
It's the hotel of it all.
Do they have to pay? Like, is it a sanctuary? Like,
right.
What currency are they using?
Yeah, what is it, like the euro now? Is Romania in the EU? Like, I have to think about that. Or Hungary or wherever the fuck it is.
I'll say the moment where
Transylvania sort of in between those two.
The moment where I went like,
Hungary, I think.
Wait, what the fuck is going on in this movie is when he starts playing the hotel and there's like the one goblin who's like his like architect construction foreman.
That's Romania. I was right.
You know the guy I'm talking about though?
Yeah, I do.
Who's like always standing sideways and like shambling and his head's at a tilt. And yeah, the movie gets through all this very quickly, opens up the hotel, and we go to years later. And it's now Mavis's 118th birthday.
Right. But looks like a 20-year-old or whatever, because I guess
she's 18, ostensibly.
Oh, she's 18. Sure. Oh, 118. Of course. Right. She's a grown-up. It's like her bar mitzvah or going to college age.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like...
Right. They're throwing this big party for her, and she's always wanted to go out into the outside world.
Right.
And the thing they keep on selling is the very simple but effective inversion of monsters are being hunted by humans all the time. We can't go in the outside world. They're going to attack us.
Yeah, I guess. Except isn't the concept more like that's how it was back in the 1890s when monster hunting was all the rage?
They've been so afraid. They've been hiding.
Right. They've all been, again, living in a hotel that is somehow paid for.
But I'll say this, the first one does open with all the monsters like arriving with their luggage and shit.
And then do they never leave?
Right. It's like,
I keep looking at Ben like he's going to tell me.
Is this the season when they all come to visit?
Right.
It's like a Hotel California kind of situation.
Oh.
When you're here, you never leave.
Yeah, when you're here, your family.
So it's like a
Olive Garden?
It's like an Olive Garden type of situation.
Okay.
It's like somewhere between Olive Garden
Would you say the characters are welcome? Is it like a USA Network situation?
It is. Okay. It is. And it's sort of like TBS because it's very funny.
So... Because we learn, of course, that his wife, voiced by Jackie Sandler,
of course,
as
great Jackie
Adam Sandler's
want to do.
Yes, Adam Sandler's love interests who do not have a big part are often played by Jackie Sandler.
Yep.
She
Same
was
as
killed,
in Crazy Nights,
right? She was killed by human mob.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah, now it's like the 21st century, and like no one gives a shit about this anymore, right? Isn't that the implication?
But here's just like screenwriting 101, faint praise, but just effective, and I feel like I so often see movies botch this.
Right.
He doesn't want her to go into the outside world.
Right.
So he sets up a fake town.
Right. It's populated by zombies.
Which is a sequence I love.
It's very funny.
Because another thing I love is that when she first sees the townspeople, they look like real townspeople.
Right.
And then it's once the shift of the town starts crumbling, you see that they're masks. Yeah. But it's literally that they built two different models. So at first you're seeing how she perceives them, and then you're seeing the actual reality of what they look like.
We're not going to do the whole plot of every movie. Right.
No, but I'm saying this is what I like about this movie. A thing I like about this movie is that the fire started by the town collapsing is what brings Johnny to the hotel.
Right. Sure.
That Drac is the creator of his own
He
problems.
makes his own bed. Right. Yeah.
Right. Which I feel like movies botch this all the time now with too much coincidence.
Yeah, fair enough.
Especially in family movies where it's like you want this shit tight.
Yeah.
And it's like Drac's got a lesson to learn. So he's got to let go.
Yeah, these are tight movies too. They're all 90-minute movies that like kind of, get their message across pretty quickly. I don't know.
So Johnny,
it's just a bunch of jokes.
This like stoner backpacking like teen tour kid.
Yeah, he's like, what is he? He's like a sort of a parody of like a crunchy 2000s kind of like
post-college, travel the world.
Yeah.
He's a California dude.
Yeah. But like he's like lame in a cute way, right? It's like he likes like DJing, and what else does he like?
I do think it's to the movie's advantage that he's hard to stereotype because they do make him very specific.
Yeah.
Like, they don't just settle into, like, 6 obvious stereotypes.
Right. He's called, like, I think his name is Lofren. Here's one problem I have. It's not a problem, but question. Okay. He presents as very Jewish.
Correct.
But then his parents are not.
Play very waspy.
They're waspy.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, obviously the joke is just that they're, like, very straight-laced, right? But, like, you know, he's got, like, the big red hair. He's voiced by Samberg. Yeah. Like, he has a little, like, redhead kid who's, like, you know, kind of anxious.
Denisovich.
Yeah, Denisovich.
I read them as Jewish.
But they're not, though. He's from Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
You know,
no
he's
Jews
like
in Santa Cruz?
Guy. He's like a hacky sack guy. Right? That's what he is.
He's a hacky sack guy.
Right.
He's like into the jam band.
Right. Yeah, he likes
like bad electronic music scene.
311.
He loves his backpack. His favorite thing in the world is his backpack.
Loves his backpack. Like, has a weird romantic attachment to his back. He likes, like, Sublime.
Yeah.
I guess that's an earlier generation.
Yeah. No, I mean, like,
you're right. The older, like, the newer generation would be into, like, EDM or whatever.
Yeah.
Which he kind of is.
Sure, he likes DJing. Yeah.
But he walks in and Mavis zings with him, which is the key concept of this franchise, the notion of zinging.
Do you think that was in the original presentation?
I don't know.
And you see, when people fall in love in these movies, their eyes flash pink.
And then
they've zinged.
Wait, David. Oh, no. Did you just see... Oh, no. Ben's eyes just went pink.
Who's he looking at?
Right at you. David, Ben just zinged.
Oh, hey, Benny.
Hey.
But here's my question. And this is a real question.
Yeah.
Is zinging one way?
Well,
because in 3, he zings, and it takes her a while to zing.
Correct.
But she does eventually.
I think it can be one way. I think they sort of present it as being like a less creepy version of the imprinting from the Twilight franchise.
Oh, God. That's creepy.
Super creepy.
But undoubtedly.
Where they imprint on babies and go, hey, dibs. So this opening with all the monsters coming,
you really love this. Oh, sure, right. Well,
because this is like
his idea, this sanctuary, but
I just like the chaos of this thing. Like, it reminds me of I already said Mad Magazine, but the way Mad Magazine, it's like, here's the article or the comic strip you're reading on these 2 pages, but then they're all the little Sergio Aragonés drawings in the margins,
right, but also
and
like those mad parodies where it would be like the first double spread, where all the characters are lined up and they all like have one joke about themselves that they say like one after the other, like, you know, I'm this and blah, like,
that's what this feels like. And he's reducing everyone to, like, you know.
And Adams brought all his friends.
Right.
I'm gonna run them down. We got, apart from Selena Gomez, right?
His best friend.
Kevin James as Frank.
Right, like a very blue-collar Frankenstein who also just is quietly afraid of fire.
Yeah, he kind of has the least bits.
He's just sort of doing Kevin James.
The only Kevin James is not trying hard, to be clear. No. There is no effort.
But like, his delivery is funny in the first
joke.
Movie.
It's
fire
like,
bad.
Fire bad, and his arms fall off.
Yeah,
sometimes.
He falls apart. Yeah.
He's got a gambling
and
problem.
He does. Fran Drescher plays his wife, and she's like the Bride of Frankenstein.
She's thankfully the only nagging wife stereotype
she is
in this film, which Sandler usually is rife with them. In this movie, they reduce it to 1.
Yes. Then you got Steve Buscemi, who's always in Sandler movies.
Yeah, my favorite character.
He's good. Yeah, he's good. As Wayne, I also like the way the wolf is animated. He's the werewolf.
Well, this is like all the main characters in this movie have totally different shapes.
Yeah, right.
You know, like Dracula's like a teardrop.
Yeah, Dracula's very
Murray is like a circle.
Right.
Frank is like is like
he's a cube, practically.
He's a cube.
Right.
And Wayne is like a inverted triangle.
Yes,
he's like an upside down triangle, but he's just all like exhaustion.
Sure.
The bit they latch onto is the fact that they have like an insane litter of wolf children.
Right, they have a million children.
The most like,
which is
haggard father.
It's funny that they're like, what should our werewolf bit be? And it's like, because werewolves famously turn into humans, right?
He never turns into
a human. No, their bit is just like that he's like a dog.
Yeah.
And I guess dogs have lots of children, but like even that, you're kind of like, not really.
My single biggest gripe with these movies is they should have said that he's a wolf man rather than a werewolf.
Sure, like the classic.
Because werewolf, I keep on going like, when does he ever turn back?
Right, he's not a werewolf.
No.
He's a wolf.
He's a wolf man.
Right, yeah. And like, they have like 500 children.
Yes.
Like they have like this sort of like ever growing brood of children.
Winnie's the only one who's ever like kind of individually
The rest are
developed.
just like monsters.
mass,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, right. They're funny though.
They're like
a
the
swarm.
minions of this
right,
one. Right,
yeah.
right. But I like that they literally are just like a storm. Like they're just
Yeah,
like
right. Molly Shannon plays his wife. I mean, another criticism is the women
don't have a lot to do.
apart from
Mavis,
who's a cool character.
right.
The wives, quote unquote, are
Yes.
like nothing to do. Then you got David Spade as Griffin, the Invisible Man.
And his bit is that he's David Spade.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
not trying too hard. Like, what do you think they're making? $100,000, right?
Yeah,
More,
probably
right?
easily. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just like a day's work.
I mean,
probably.
Sandler makes millions off
Well,
these movies.
obviously. He's
And
like producing
I
them and
think
shit,
Kevin
right.
James probably gets like $1 million or $2 million. Gomez probably gets like $1 million or $2 million at this point.
Yeah.
David Spade's probably getting like a couple hundred.
He's
though.
probably making decent money by the third one,
decent
though.
point.
So he's
Yeah.
making $1,000 to just be like, hey, you didn't see me?
1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for that one
Hey,
line.
watch
Yeah,
where you
that
put
line,
your
right.
finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that line is
$1,000.
Yeah, right. Is like a
More. It's probably like $25,000 for like.
doesn't have
hey,
a lot
I'm
of
standing
lines.
here. No, he doesn't.
yeah, and yeah, his joke is that he's invisible, and sometimes he's like, "Yeah, you didn't notice how I look," and it's like, "No, you're invisible."
That bit's good where they make fun
It's
of
okay
Johnny's red
sometimes.
curly hair, and he's like, "Hey, I have red curly hair."
That's kind of funny. Yeah.
And then Murray the Mummy.
Excuse me, and then Adam Sandler's greatest of all friends, CeeLo Green, is Murray the Mummy. That's right, CeeLo Green was in this first movie,
and then cut.
and then
why did they
he
get
got
rid
replaced.
of him? Did he do something really terrible?
Can't tell if you're doing a bit or
Do you
not.
remember?
Yeah.
He did like 4 terrible things,
Yeah.
and they were all kind of like part of like a sort of a human centipede of badness,
And
right?
it
They're
was
all kind of
also,
linked.
Like pre-Me Too. Like it was like one of the first times we kind of canceled a guy like
Yeah,
that.
we were just like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's almost like we kind of think he's crazy.
Yeah. I think he's crazy. I want to say fuck you to that guy. CeeLo Green.
Cut all of that. And then he's replaced by Keegan Michael Key in the
Doing
second
a
and third
CeeLo
movies.
Green impression.
Right, yeah, because like, and again, like, it's weird that that's the mummy. What's the mummy's bit? He's got like kind of like an accent, and
He's a party
that's it.
dude.
Yeah, right.
I also don't understand how CeeLo Green got roped into it because
That's
everyone
what I'm
else
saying.
is
He's like-
so
Sandler's
in the
like-
extended Sandler
He literally,
family.
Sandler was just did his like most dialed, right? So it's like Kevin, sure, David, okay,
Selena,
Buscemi,
okay.
you
Yeah,
know.
John Lovitz.
John Lovitz plays Quasimodo.
Molly Shannon, I
yeah,
think,
Molly
been a
Shannon,
couple.
Sandberg. It was
Right.
just, and then it's like, oh, CeeLo Green. I call him a lot, I guess. Like why CeeLo Green?
Yeah.
Was it just like that he was hot that year? Like,
So odd. Yeah.
like that was just. It was like, oh, we should cast like a famous musician too.
Because even if you go into like the deeper supporting cast, it's like Chris Parnell
Yeah,
and like
Parnell's in all of them. He's the fly in the first two.
and the fish and,
And
all
then
the
the
fish in the
fish. He's
third
funny
one.
as the fish.
But even like Taron Killam and like Paul Britton do some of the background voices in the
Yep.
first one. Like it's like all people in his sphere, except
Smigel.
for CeeLo Green. Yes,
Rob Riggle, I think, is
the Skeleton Man.
Skeleton,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah. This
so
first one,
that's it.
the basic crux of it is that they've zinged.
Yeah, so she falls in love with a backpacker, right?
Right, and Drac
Dracula's
doesn't want anyone
like, I'm
knowing
not
there's a
into
human.
It. Oh, I don't want her to do that.
He doesn't want anyone to know there's a human at the hotel, so he dresses him up like a Frankenstein to try to get him out.
Right,
but then
that's-
everyone starts falling for
That's
him.
kind of what's fun about the movie, though,
Yeah.
is like that they're in on it together.
Yes,
And it's because he doesn't want Mavis to find out that the fire was all his fault.
right.
So that's why he has to ally with Mavis's essentially like love
It's
interest.
like pretty tightly plotted. It's nothing complicated, but it's just like
And then the message of the movie is like humans and monsters aren't so different after all, which is like obvious because they're all voiced by fucking Adam Sandler people.
right.
And the voice job is just them sounding like people.
But I think the key to this first movie is the fact that Selena Gomez is giving a real
Yeah,
performance.
she's good.
It's not that what she's doing is super complicated, but there is a surprising amount of integrity and depth to what she's doing. And she makes the longing this character feels for the outside world pretty palpable.
Yep. She wants to see like a sunset and stuff.
I had no experience with Selena Gomez before this movie outside of knowing that Selena Gomez was a thing. I don't think I'd
If you're ready,
seen her
come
in
and get it.
anything.
No.
See, I don't even know that song.
It's a good song.
And I saw this movie,
Come and get it.
and I was just like, she's really kind of killing this thing. She's making this character
She's
kind
a
of
pro.
interesting.
She was the
She's a
Wizard of
fucking pro.
Waverly Place. You know.
But Miley Cyrus, who I have no
That's
problem
all
with
I
as an
got.
actress.
She was in Spring Breakers. She's in that, right?
Oh, she's really good in Spring
Good in
Breakers.
Spring. You've
actually.
seen
Yeah.
Spring Breakers.
I'd
so
seen
there
Spring
you go.
Breakers.
You did
I
know who
forgot.
she was.
Yeah, one of the finest American films.
Yeah.
But so I'm just sitting here watching it, loving this animation, getting kind of caught up in the Mavis storyline. I walk out of it and I go like, that wasn't a hack job. That wasn't a paycheck for Tarkovsky. He was giving it his all.
It's a sweet movie. What do you think, Ben? You watched them all.
I did.
When Griffin and I saw the movie yesterday, we were like, Has Ben watching them, or does he just not want to do that?
No, I
You
did.
watched them.
They're fun family movies.
Yeah, they got big monsters in them.
And they have big monsters. Like, obviously, there's always a lesson to be told, but
Sure.
it's not hitting you over the head with it.
No, they're
And
pretty
it's just
pat,
got
but
a-
they don't like bend themselves over backwards trying to shoehorn shit in.
Right.
And I think there is like just a level of like creativity and artistry to the animation itself that is lacking from like other sort of equivalent franchises like this.
Well, because I watched Samurai Jack, so then
Right.
also immediately, and loved Dexter's Lab,
Yeah.
Powerpuff, like a
And
lot
the-
of the
and the
shows.
Clone Wars are-
a lot
right,
of.
yeah.
I didn't watch Clone Wars, but still,
Yeah.
I like his work
And you recognize it. You're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
not getting
Oh,
lost in this thing.
right away.
And
Yeah.
also, the three of us are all like early Sandler defenders.
Yes, we all like early Sandler movies.
And
That's
him
right.
working with the director who's
I
got
like
some
Sandler.
like pacing and some like genuine like visual craft ups the sort of Sandler comedy as well. Like I feel like this movie feels less lackadaisical than like you and I have been watching these Netflix Sandler movies, and I'm of two minds of them because I watched something like the week of, and I'm like, I kind of love that this movie is so low concept.
Sure, right.
That it's just characters and
Which
bits.
is kind of what these are like, too.
Right. But there's more craft in these, which is a nice balance.
I was
Right.
talking to somebody how, like, if you think about this as a high budget comedy, essentially, like
Right.
it's
These
like
are
a
pure
huge
comedies.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
They're like $90 million comedies.
Because other animated films tend to fall into other genres as well.
Right.
And these are just straight up fucking comedies,
Yeah.
which
And
was his
so-
big thing. I just want it to be funny.
So all that physical comedy stuff, like it's executed so well and
Yeah.
masterfully, and it's it's like there's a lot of money going into this too.
And the thing Tarkovsky says is the most satisfying thing for him was seeing the first movie in theaters and watching audiences laugh at purely physical bits. Like he felt like that had sort of fallen away from animated films. And it's like they're laughing just at the way Drac is moving.
I think that, but I also think that reinforces this, like perhaps the stereotype of these movies is like, oh, they're just like, they're dumb. Like, because it's like physical humor.
Right.
Like people not even seeing them, but like the trailers just make it look like a lot of like, and then he falls over. Like,
what?
or
So is this
whatever,
like the same as Minions or
Yeah,
whatever?
right,
Is it just like a cacophony of
And
like,
then the big gag is that he says blah blah blah, which like what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Why is that funny?
they do a weird
It's
amount
funny.
of like, yeah. And,
I don't get, explain it to me.
I don't know, but I'll say the other one that I
Blah,
find
blah, blah.
really funny is the Frank very casual fire bad thing.
Yeah, that's
that
funny.
Frankenstein's still terrified of fire, but he says it in this very like, fire bad
Yeah.
kind of thing. And they're both just like very Mad Magazine, like, oh, this is a postmodern take on a monster. These are monsters dealing with their reputation.
Yeah.
The things that we all make fun of them for in the schoolyard when we're like 6. I look at these movies and I go like, this would have been a better approach for Universal than doing the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
Them trying to make an animated family film with all their monsters and their designs would have made more sense. Like, there's more value to the monsters now because of these movies that Universal has because kids actually know them again in a way that Universal has totally whiffed because they're like, I don't know, it's about the humans fighting the monsters.
Yeah. Well, look, we all love the Dark Universe.
But these movies are like largely riffing on the Universal movies,
The Dark Universe.
the original Universal movies.
Sure, a Dark Universe Origins.
So this movie comes out and it's a big hit, and they're like, "Oh, sequel." And Sandler's like, "Wait, that's a real thing now? That's a real movie?"
Sure.
And his last 2 movies have bombed, and he goes like, "I'm gonna fucking
Right,
get
I'm
in
all
on
over this. But first, box office game.
Okay,
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
September.
We're doing 3.
Yeah.
Box office game, September 28th, 2012. This movie opened at $42 million.
Big surprise. People thought like 20 tops.
Yeah, it was a new September record at the time.
Correct.
Yeah, people were really, it beat Sweet Home Alabama's like 10 plus year reign as the September best movie ever.
Right. And then the record was beaten by Hotel Transylvania 2.
And it was
And then beaten by it.
Sandler's second best ever behind what?
Longest Yard.
Longest Yard, which like that
That's
shouldn't
what
exist.
these numbers like made no sense. Everyone thought this was just like, I don't fucking know. You know?
So number 2 at the box office this weekend is directed by a director who we have discussed one of his movies on this podcast.
Not in this episode, but we've covered one of his films.
We have done one episode on one of his movies.
This movie's about time.
True.
The movie's about time?
Yeah.
We've covered one of his, not a miniseries. We covered
No,
one
it
of
was
his movies.
a special episode for his new movie last year.
I would classify this as
Looper.
sick.
Looper.
You classify as being sick?
Like good.
Ben's throwing the horns.
You like it? You like Looper?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Looper's pretty good. Looper.
Looper.
Open
Good
to
movie.
20.
Makes you think.
Makes you think.
Made 66.
Yeah.
Sort of doubled its budget. It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, and then he gets to make Star Wars.
Yeah, but takes a while.
I know.
Doesn't make a movie for 6 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he going to make a movie?
I think he had a couple things he was working on. I don't know if he ever publicly announced.
Number 3 is from a director we have covered one of his movies.
What?
Once again.
Only
Once
one?
again. Yes. A special one-off episode. This movie is okay. The movie we discussed.
And I've been pitching doing his like more recent movie. I really want us to cover it because I'm obsessed. I'm a diehard.
What? You're a diehard for his most recent movie?
So
Oh,
Are you being sincere? What are your favorite movies the last 5 years?
Don't-
Assassin's Creed.
Don't listen to him. Oh, God. Come on.
Give me a hint.
Okay. It's a cop movie, LA cop movie. It grosses $41 million total. It has kind of a great performance in it. It's not a bad movie. It's very him.
Oh, it's End of Watch.
It's End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yes.
Michael Pena, I
Right.
believe Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick, yeah.
And what movie of David Ayers have we discussed? on this
Suicide Squad,
podcast?
and Ben wants to discuss Bright
That's
and
right.
Brighter
Mhm.
and Brightest.
Brighter,
The
brightest.
trilogy.
Number 4. Wow, these are some movies.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's a different time.
Number 4 is the rare. This movie stars a really famous director, and it's the rare movie he's in.
Trouble with the Curve.
Trouble with the Curve, the Clint Eastwood baseball pitching scout movie.
Yes, he's blind.
He's blind.
He's going
What the
blind.
fuck?
He doesn't want anyone to know, so he has his daughter go with him, and she's learning how to scout
And
as well.
it's like Amy Adams and
Justin
like
Timberlake, John Goodman.
Like this is a film that came out in theaters.
And I think it was his main first AD directed it, but I've heard that he kind of took over directing it.
Interesting. Okay, it's the
Trouble with the Curve.
I believe it's the last movie he acted in.
But now he's about
Now
to
he's
start
doing
a new,
like
the
a
Mule.
drug mule, make America great again.
Do you know this?
Like, or whatever.
Do you know that
It's-
Clint Eastwood's doing a 90-year-old drug mule movie that he's directing and starring in?
That gives me mixed feelings.
I got coke in my butt.
I kind of like that actually.
Yeah,
I
I do
like
too.
Donald Trump. I don't know if he likes Trump. He's kind of like, Trump's kind of a bad guy, but maybe we need a bad guy,
Yeah.
right? Like that's kind of his take right now. I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm
voted for
slandering.
Obama, and then he turned into a chair.
America is run by sorcerers. Number 5 is a film that was like one of those sat on the shelf for a long time, and then its star got super famous, so it kind of got dumped and made some money.
Oh, fuck.
It has a
I know
really
exactly-
stupid name.
I know. It's the Jennifer Lawrence horror movie,
Correct.
right? It's called The House at the End of the Street?
Correct.
Okay.
Which made $31 million.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And that was literally just off. They were like, Jennifer Lawrence is famous now? Oh,
Yeah.
we got this movie. It's
Yeah.
about like a house at the end of some street or something. And they were
Right.
like, sure, September, release it.
Yeah, crazy.
So often when we play this, I am like, who are these people that go to see these movies?
Yeah, it's true. Like people were
Yeah.
just like, well, got to see something. Might as well see what's at the house at the end of the street.
Let's see what's at the end of the street.
Guess what? It's like not good, I think. Like
Yeah.
it's a bad house, I think.
It's a dead end.
Yeah, don't go.
You're like 3 million people saw this
Here's the
in theaters?
Here's the craziest thing about this. Number 6, opening this weekend, Pitch Perfect.
crazy.
Opens to $5 million. Now it's like a semi-limited
Right, it was
release.
like 700.
Not even 330 theaters. Like,
Oh, weird.
but like, what's that about?
No idea.
They were like, yeah, let's platform this like
Yeah.
it's 1982. Like, I whatever. It worked,
So,
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
eventually.
Sure. Anyway, so that's Hotel Transylvania 1. You like
Last
this
Call
movie.
Pitches. Love it. Big fan. I watch it a lot. I just
You watch it. So you
I
watch
do.
the first one a lot.
I watched the first one a lot. I hadn't seen
Blah,
2
blah, blah.
again, blah, blah, blah. I hadn't watched 2 again since it came out, which I enjoyed, but I think is a total gentleman 6.
Right. I mean, I think I'm basically kind of a gentleman 6 on all of them, but like that to me, that's a positive. I like that.
One, I just think the actual
sweet.
The actual, I think it's got a sweeter script. I think it's got a tighter story, and I think the craft is at its highest in the first one.
Okay, but all right, but now listen.
Yeah.
Now you're saying, okay, Hotel Transylvania 2, which came out in September 2015, same weekend practically.
Yeah.
there's a scene where they say like we should check the Bluetooth, and then there's just a Bluetooth with eyes that just comes up onto the screen.
2 does this joke about 5 times, and every time it's great. There's
and
one.
I laugh and laugh, and then I'm like my spirit exits my body and looks at me laughing and is like, really? Like it was just like a Bluetooth. Like that's the whole joke.
No, I also rewatched that joke 4 times in a row.
Really funny.
The way the tooth moves is really funny. The color of blue, the shade is really funny. No, but there's that. There's the joke where they interrupt Jack when he's painting. And it looks like he's doing a cubist portrait, and then you see the guy he's painting, and he's a cubist monster.
Yeah, that's funny. That was funny.
There's one where the guy is using the app to like modify his face and like smudge it, and then you look up and see his face, and his face looks like a smudge.
Yep.
Like there's like shit. They do a lot of that, and it also has more of the literal Family Guy cutaway things. Where
it does
like,
a lot of that. Right.
This is the worst thing since Murray opened the hot dog stand, and then it's like they're bandaged or whatever. They do a couple of those. They do like, maybe Wayne shouldn't be the tennis instructor.
Yeah, they do shit like that.
I'm realizing how much Sandler's Dracula is kind of Triumph the Comic Insult Dog.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it is his old Dracula voice, right?
Yes,
From
right. The Bluetooth? It's the best.
So dumb.
The other thing that's funny about it is it's not like that's canonically a type of monster. It's a sentient, large tooth.
That's the thing.
Of any
no
color.
one explains, like, what is this? Sorry.
Bluetooth.
Blowing out the mics.
There are gags in these movies, though, that I think are just so purely satisfying in just a, like, fucking, like, tee it up, knock it out of the park kind of way like that. Just, like, quick, efficient.
Right.
gag.
To me, so, like, you had... All right, so here's another thing, listeners. Griffin proposes that we do this episode like 8 months ago.
And then I was really worried that you guys were going to hate
he's texting us, the two of us, being like, I hope you like these movies because, I don't know, they're kind of a lot and you're going to have to watch them all at once. Like, Griffin's nervous about us seeing these movies.
Terrified.
What were you so worried about? They are 90-minute children's films. Like, they're pretty easy to watch.
Right. But I also just thought you'd be like, what is this goofball McKillicuddy bullshit?
Yeah, but I guess you just sold me enough on, like, the animation.
Watch
and I
the
just
movie.
like Tartakovsky anyway. But
and once
I
again,
like monsters.
That's the other thing. Monsters fucking rule. I love monsters so much.
yeah, they're cool.
That like
They're ingrained in us.
Yes.
Like we all know the tropes. We know these characters.
and I love them visually. I love like the different scales of things in this movie. You know, the fact that you can have like the lobby of the hotel and like here are tiny little creatures and then here's
they're
just
all like
a
floating
foot.
by. Right,
you know?
right. Yeah. So I kind of like the second one. What I'm saying is you
liked
really
it more than I
you'd really like
I thought
rock
that's when you guys
bottomed
were
my
gonna drop
expectations. But the second one's just like Borscht Belt jokes.
It's just very
silliness.
jokey.
And then when like Mel Brooks shows up at the end, I almost felt like this is thematically appropriate that he's here.
Yeah.
Because like that is all they were doing. It's just a bunch of like young Frankenstein
It's a Sandler
knockoff
sketch
shit.
movie.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
What do you think about the lesson in 2, though?
Okay,
Do you
so he's
like
saying
it?
he's saying the lesson is bad. Like I barely remember that there was a lesson.
It's very like pushed aside. It's not like it's really just about the
to sum up
bits.
the plot of 2. It's 5 years later.
Yeah.
They have a kid.
Right.
He's a little 5-year-old.
I'm sorry. The first 10 minutes of this movie span 7 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's
because
right.
it
They get
opens
married,
with their wedding. Then it cuts to 1 year later, which is Mavis announcing that she's pregnant.
Right.
Then it cuts to 9 months later when she is in delivery.
Sure.
And then it jumps 5 years to
5 years ahead.
Denisovich.
Denis, who is a little, and the whole movie is Dracula being, he loves the kid, but he's like, I wish he was a vampire. I hope he's a vampire. And he has to like become a vampire before he's turns 5 or else
And
he's
Mavis
not a
is
vampire.
wondering if she wants him raised around monsters.
Right, Mavis is like, maybe we should move to the suburbs or whatever.
Now,
so what's the lesson of the movie?
I guess because I saw this for the first time a few days ago.
Yeah.
And so obviously it came out before our current political climate.
Mhm.
But it just felt very,
Except
I
everyone
want it
for
to
their-
be the
yeah.
way it used to be kind of like vibe. And then like
sure.
learning to come over that, like get over that. It just, I wasn't into it.
Well, there's a traditionalist streak in this movie, which is like he's kind of traditionalist, and then when Vlad is introduced, it's like, no, this is the real traditionalist.
Right, this is the guy who's kind of real old school.
Right, and Sandler has always like whisper conservative.
A little bit.
Is he super Republican? Like he doesn't talk about it, but that's always the sort of notion.
But I always thought he was kind of one of those guys who's like, I just like being rich. I don't
give a shit.
I don't
Right,
fucking
he seems
care.
more apathetic about
very
anything going
apathetic,
on in
to
the
be
world.
Clear.
Right.
Yes, right.
But I think this is also a movie that like every 15 minutes, it completely latches onto a new narrative conceit.
Right. The first bit is all what you're talking about, and then it's like some hotel stuff.
Right.
Then they go to the camp. There's like a bunch of camp stuff.
Right. The stuff with Johnny and Mavis in California is like literally a concentrated
It's a
15-minute stretch.
Movie.
Like
it's
they're not
making
cutting
fun
back
of
and
the
forth.
Suburbs. Right. Yeah.
And then Vlad and his bat monsters, who are ostensibly the antagonists of the movie, are not introduced until the last 15 minutes.
And also Vlad's like so clearly not a villain anyway, because it's Mel Brooks and he's being funny. And then he has these like gargoyles.
So then the villain is like Bella, who's this Bela Lugosi bat monster, which
voiced by Rob Riggle.
Yes, and that sequence with them fighting the bats at the end feels like everything he wanted to do on Popeye.
Sure,
that feels very like, oh, I'm gonna do like crazy wind up punch, jaws contorting, and like the wake of the punch sort of stuff. I just remember seeing that they had canceled Popeye, and I was like, this is where he put all that energy.
Right,
is clearly he just went, I want the end sequence to be a big fist fight. Because that's not the kind of action sequence they have in these movies.
I just can't remember anything about this movie already, but I just remembered that I just sort of laughed a bunch.
It's totally fun to watch. The script has zero narrative propulsion.
It was written by Smigel and Sandler. So Sandler actually got a writing credit.
Who rarely takes writing credits on his movies.
Blah, blah, blah.
It comes out.
I think.
Yeah.
Does he say that in the movie?
He does. Well, he says he doesn't say it.
Blah, blah, blah.
3 is the one where he actually
just says it offhandedly right at the start, and everyone's like, hey, he actually said it.
He said it.
And then I feel like that joke is over with.
Yeah, and then they play I'm in Love with a Monster for the 15th time. I love that dumb song they play every 15 minutes in all of these movies.
What else? I'm trying to think. Like,
there's
the kid's so cute.
The kid's
Dennis
really
is
cute.
very cute.
The thing with him and Winnie is really nice.
Yeah, the little wolf girl.
Yeah.
They're like friends.
But it definitely is. It's more of a
there's Scream Cheese. Scream Cheese. Rob
Scream Cheese is the one.
No, isn't it too?
No, because they give it to Johnny when he's still pretending to be a Frankenstein. He has to pretend that he likes it.
Oh, you're right. But then it's also in 2. It is in 2 though, because it's at the wedding. Scream Cheese is pretty cool. It's cream cheese that screamed.
Johnny is kind of a fuckboy.
Oh wow, anti-Johnny. We're into Johnny.
I like Johnny, but I'm just saying, if it's a kids movie, it's definitely like men shouldn't behave that way, especially a dad. Should be more responsible. He's like basically another kid. I don't like that. Okay, I feel like that's a bad lesson.
I think
for
it
kids.
is the comedic conceit they come up with.
You're the traditionalist.
Well, no,
you're like your dad should wear a suit. Come home.
I'm surprised Count Dracula wasn't wearing sweatpants.
You're like fucking the Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins, where you're like singing a song about how everything has to happen a certain way.
I'll say I have heard that complaint about these movies, that like the Dracula character is constantly trying to make other people, especially his daughter, behave the way he wants them to.
Yeah, I guess so. But then he always
prevents the fool.
He always learns not to do that, I guess.
They do kind of like, now that Johnny no longer has like the narrative function of like he's the outsider, now they've accepted him. For 2 and 3, they make the joke essentially, oh, he and the kid are the same.
Right. He and the kid are kind of allies in the second one, because which I like. This is one thing I like about the movie, is that
Johnny's working with Drac again,
because Mavis wants to move to the suburbs. It's the classic like dilemma of the new parent, right? Like, maybe we should.
Sorry, I just had a moment where I stepped out of my body for a second and just felt such joy of the fact
we're
that
discussing the
I've
intricate
gotten
plot
us
details
to the point where we can get into discussing the plot nitty gritty of Hotel Transylvania too.
We're gonna get 0 listens for this one. All right, so Mavis is she wants to move to the suburbs because that's new to her.
Yeah.
And Johnny is kind of like, I've done that. That's the thing. Johnny, he's a wayward soul. He's a backpacker, right? He doesn't like the suburbs.
I think it's more he just doesn't want to work because he's found a place that somehow just exists without money or having
and
to
he also has like a job too that's like a total sham job where he's like, you're the executive vice president or whatever.
Of DJing.
Yeah, right.
But I also love
you're right. He's got it made in the shade.
Yeah.
The Transylvanian shade.
Hey.
I don't know.
I also love, I said this yesterday after we saw 3. But that like they're kind of just like a happy married couple.
Right. Well, you're right. And like, there's jokes in 2 and 3 about date night.
Yeah.
Because they want to fuck once in a while. I don't know.
Right.
Right. That's they got Denny
But they
Savitch.
like fully love each other. They never get into like ball and chain, like annoying.
And when
like,
they do, Johnny's usually kind of a voice of reason. It's sort of like, he's like, look, man, like this is how it is. Like he has the kind of like Californian outlook of sort of like, everyone should just do what they want to do, man. Like,
I like that he's a complicated
Ben's like,
character,
fuck this guy.
Ben doesn't like Johnny. Because yesterday we were like, Ben probably loves Johnny, right?
Yeah, we were like talking, much of,
But that's, it gets to this point of everyone accepting everyone the way they are. It's got fun jokes and it's fun to watch.
I had an okay time watching Hotel Transylvania 2.
No subtitle.
No subtitle.
Yeah.
Which is a weird subtitle for the movie.
Yeah. Box office game?
Box office game. September 25th, 2015.
Okay.
So we got Hotel Transylvania 2. Opens 48 million.
48.
Like practically the same.
Yeah.
It just like did well.
Yeah.
Number 2, also opening this weekend, is a film you auditioned for.
Boy.
Comedy. Sort of like a light, comedy.
The Intern?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what?
We'll talk about it
We're going to be
soon.
talking about it real soon on this here podcast.
I auditioned for that movie so many times.
Is that the only one? Are there any other Myers movies you auditioned for?
I auditioned for It's Complicated as well.
Wow.
Like 3 times.
That sounds like a complicated process.
It was very complicated. I auditioned for 3 different casting directors because they kept on firing casting directors because they weren't finding people. Yeah. And then the new casting director would be like, we just thought you were an obvious choice for this. Like, so did the last person.
What was the part?
Not a fan of old downtown Griffin Nooms. It was a part that they shot and then cut out of the movie. But they delayed the film production because they couldn't cast this part. The joke was that she tries to get on dating apps and get back into the dating scene, and then she gets there and the date is like a 19-year-old.
Oh, that's a good joke.
And it was like a big, it was like a big like 6-page scene in the movie in like the first act, and they couldn't fucking find the kid, and they kept on going back to it. And then they just cut it out of the movie. Daryl Sabara got the part.
Spy Kid
he
himself.
Spy Kids and World's Greatest Dad fame. Yeah, but they cut it. Anyway.
So that opened to 17. So, got thumped.
Yeah.
But that is more of your classic September movie.
Right.
And kind of like, broad, appealing to older audience.
I'm still surprised that movie didn't do better.
It didn't do well.
No.
It didn't get, I don't know what it was about it, actually. I'm not sure why. We'll talk about it on that episode.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
I like it, okay, but it does star, has stupid Noodle Brain Man, who I fucking hate so much.
I hate those parts of it. That movie has
bad.
2 workaholics too many in it.
Yes, it does. Yes. All right. So number 3.
Yeah.
It's a sequel in what becomes a trilogy.
Casper Spirit at the beginning?
It is, in my opinion, the best of the 3.
Oh, wow.
In this film. I mean, you may not have seen this film. He's never even heard of it.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them, which is kind of crazy. The first one did really well. This one did okay. The third one came and went.
It's no question of a 4th. Like, it's done.
No, it's done.
Is it star driven?
No,
not at all.
It's brand name driven. It's an established property.
Is it a horror thing?
No. It's a teen thing.
It's a teen thing. It's a teen thing. There are 3 of them. They came and went. That makes me think I probably saw it.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a good one. I like this one. This one's like a decent movie.
Not a book series.
Reminds me like a what?
Not a book series.
Yes, a book series.
It is a book series.
This kind of reminded me of like the sort of middle Resident Evil movies, which are also really good.
So, is it Maze Runner? The Scorch Trials?
Welcome to the Scorch.
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
I recommend them.
Yeah.
The third one is a bit of a bummer though, so doesn't really like. First one's solid. Second one's pretty good.
Yeah. Wes Ball, right?
Wes Ball,
People say
decent
the guy's a good
action director.
Yeah.
Number 4 is another one where you're like, geez, it's the both times it's these movies where you're like, oh yeah, people like went to them and they said 1 for like, 1 for this, please.
They saw the trailer and they're like, wow, he looks terrible. I gotta see this.
Wow, this doesn't star anyone famous? Like it stars a bunch of people who are kind of famous? Great.
But the guy looks terrible in it?
No. Okay, so this movie it had opened last week limited in like big format and now it's expanding wide. It's a kind of a disaster movie.
Everest.
Yeah. From the director of 101 Reykjavik.
Balthazar Kamakasaur.
I misread. I saw the wrong one.
Oh, yeah. The next one is the one where he looks terrible. Not bad. I like Everest. It's okay.
He came up on our Reddit recently. Not to do a miniseries about. People were like, "What's the fucking deal with that guy?" Because he sort of felt like he was groomed to be a big budget studio journeyman, and then he sort of capped out somewhere small.
Wahlberg likes him. He's done a couple of Wahlberg
got
movies.
offered, I think, Fast and Furious 7 and turned it down. Like he was on those short lists for a while.
He's stylish,
and now it did Adrift.
That's right, which was okay.
Yeah,
he does these okay movies. He did Two Guns, where why have one gun when you could have 2?
Yeah, 2 Guns, more like 2 stars.
Fucking Denzel Washington's in that movie.
I know. The first 10 minutes of that movie rule.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really funny, and they're really good together, and then it
just has nothing to do.
Weirdly plotty.
Yeah, well, that happens in a lot of Denzel movies.
Yeah, that movie just has way too much fucking plot.
Anyway, and then number 5, the premise here is like, what if this famous actor looked terrible? So bad. And it's kind of this famous actor's last film role that got him any praise. Now he is one of the most universally despised people in Hollywood. Wow.
So he got Me Too'd?
Yeah. I mean, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of.
Not quite, I guess, but he had a case in the public eye that of abusive behavior.
Recent feature in Rolling Stone too.
That's giving it away.
Okay, so it's a
Depster.
It's the Depster.
Yeah,
a guy we're never going to talk about on this podcast. Thankfully, it's not like we're thinking about a miniseries.
We're thinking about a fucking director who's worked with him 8 billion times.
It's not like we're going to have to dodge through that minefield for months on end. A guy who's very depressing to think about, infuriating to talk about. Depster, it's the last time. This is such a bad performance.
Oh boy, you think this is a bad performance?
And people were like, he might get the Oscar.
Hey, you think he's gonna get the Oscar this time?
Black Mass.
I make you a cake recipe. The whole trailer's gonna be about a fucking cake or some bread. I can't remember what the recipe is.
You gotta give me this recipe.
Gotta give me this fucking recipe, motherfucker.
Where does this rank as worst? Like
clearly,
white
I am from Boston.
Crime
it's
movie.
Bottom.
It's like bottom.
Yeah, 100%.
It's terrible. I watched it on a plane. It sucks.
I think Black Mass is one of the worst films of the last 10 years. I will stand behind it.
It's a piece of shit. You know what?
It's a cinematic Wikipedia entry. It's just a series of things that happen.
That's the thing. And then all it's really got going for it is this like kind of like freakish like Skeletor job they did to Depp. And then you Google Whitey Bulger and you're like, he didn't look that bad.
He looked like a person. It's the same thing.
He didn't look like a scorpion.
It's the same thing as like Foxcatcher, where you look at the real guy and you're like, he didn't look like fat Nosferatu. And it was clear that these actors were just like, I want to transform into a monster.
And what is the recipe for? I can't remember.
It's the steak.
It's the steak, right?
What's his name? David Harbour makes.
Right, and he's like,
and just a little bit of garlic.
Recipe, right? He's like, you gave it up that easy. What, you fucking rat? And it's like silence. He's like, ha 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 ha.
Gave it up like a dog.
like a dog. Make America great again. Okay, I'm out.
He chokes like 4 women in that movie.
It's a gross movie, and it's just not good. I mean, it's a piece of shit. Scott Cooper. Anyway, maybe he'll want to be on the podcast. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, he's a big listener. Okay.
All right, so that's Hotel Transylvania 2. And then
blah blah blah. Do we have an offer for you that we want to tie as closely to this series of children's films as we possibly can? Are you experiencing erectile dysfunction?
Sexual performance issues are more common than you might think.
Ask Murray the Mummy about it.
25% of new ED cases are guys under 40. 40% of men by age 40 struggle from not being able to get or maintain an erection.
Imagine how bad it is for a guy centuries old like Drac.
Sure. He's well over 500 years old, I believe.
Even the world's greatest actor, Kevin James, can't fake one.
Well, thanks to science, ED can be optional because HIMS is going to connect you with real doctors, medical grade solutions to treat erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, I mean, these are well-known generic equivalents to name brand prescriptions to help you combat ED. No snake oil pills, gas station counter supplements, Blue Teeth.
Blue Teeth might work.
They might work, actually.
No, I mean, one ED pill starting with a V just came off of patent in December 11th. That's a game changer. So
starting with a V, you know which one we're talking about. Vlad, played by Mel Brooks.
There's no waiting room. There's no awkward doctor visits, no lines, save hours. You just go to forhims.com. It's easy. You chat to a doctor who asks you a few quick questions, confidential, and they'll ship the product directly to your door.
Yeah, so you can just go to forhims.com/blank.
Oh, you mean forhims.com/blank?
No, you leave it blank.
No, it's /blank. And then you can try Hims for a month for $5, and they'll get you started while supplies last. You see the website for full details, but this would cost you hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy.
What? And look, you need to save that money so you can afford to stay at the Hotel Transylvania for free forever.
Right. So that's forhims.com/blank.
So 3 is where the hotel part of it starts to get real sweaty.
Excuse me. In between, we have to talk about it. You've been waiting. Hotel Transylvania, the series.
Oh, yes.
It's on Disney XD, maybe? I don't know what it's on. Yeah.
So last year when I was doing press and we were flying around a lot and I was running out of stuff to watch on airplanes, I tried watching some of it. It is not my cup of tea.
Sure.
I think it's totally fine. If I was 10, I probably would be all over it and in on this franchise. It's like Monster High. I don't know if you're familiar with Monster High.
I'm aware of it.
Which was like a big doll brand that was like, oh, they're monster girls that they go to high school together. It's very much in line with that. It's like Hotel Transylvania, the teen years.
Okay.
None of the adults are really in it.
Right, it's Mavis-centric, right?
It's Mavis-centric, and then
like Dracula's like on business.
Right,
He's
so
like
his
not in it.
sister comes and takes over, who's like a school marm. Is like
weird.
a scary kind of like
Aunt Lydia.
Yeah, she's like a Mrs. McGonagall kind of.
Oh, this sounds awful.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
There's a chicken?
Yeah, I guess.
Wendy
she's got
Blob?
a check-in. Right. So it's like Blobby's daughter and Hank Einstein, who's Frank's son, and there's a mummy boy.
All right, and we got to talk about this. We're moving off of this show. Whatever. Who fucking cares?
Not my
I
thing.
don't care.
That's my answer for that. Not my thing.
We haven't talked about Blobby. Okay, he's a blob, right? Like from the Blob, right?
Correct.
What does he do? He's got eyes. He
wobbles around.
There's that joke in 2 where he kind of like where they're on the big chase and he like flies off the cliff and he's like, he'll be okay. It's Blobby.
He's Blobby.
Which is like weirdly funny again.
Yeah. There are a lot of things in this movie that
like doesn't sound funny.
Sort of. Right.
It's kind of cute.
Blobby is like background in the first one.
Sure.
Clearly he liked animating him or Sandler thought it was funny or whatever it was. So they write him into 2 a bunch where he invites himself into the sort of boys outing with the Drac Pack.
Right.
And they put him in the little sidecar.
Yeah.
And he's just constantly getting like hit and smacked and getting
he's like invincible.
Leaves and branches
he's
stuck
like
in his blob.
Fucking Terminator robot who can like, disassemble into particulate matter and reassemble and shit. All right. So in the third movie, this is what I want to lead with. We'll talk. It's not set on a hotel anymore. It's set on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
He vomits.
Uh-huh.
I just want to lead with this.
Well, first, he's swaying back and forth. He's turning different colors.
He turns yellow and then purple,
yes.
I think.
Yes, I believe so.
And then he vomits and creates new life.
Baby Blobby.
He creates a baby through vomiting.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just weird.
And then also later.
Did you like that part?
About that part?
Yeah. Did you think that was cool?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Also
I thought
later.
it was kind of like symbolism for...
Oh, Ben. We're not in the 4 hymns ad anymore. Come on. Later, he also takes some blob out of his tummy.
Yes, he does.
Makes a pair of sunglasses for himself, a pair of sunglasses for the little baby Blobby.
Correct.
But then also later, he makes a puppy out of his blob.
Yes, he does. And so that has sentience.
Sometimes he can create other life with new eyeballs that came from seemingly the ether.
Eyeballs suggest sentience.
Right.
If it has eyeballs, it's its own thing.
Other times it's just inanimate objects.
Right.
But there's a sequence where it's like he's like invulnerable. Where like what's her name? Van Helsing. The
love interest in this movie, Erica Van Helsing.
Erica Van Helsing is trying
Catherine Hahn.
to kill Dracula. Catherine Hahn, one of her finest actresses.
Right. There's this long sequence where she keeps missing Dracula and hitting Blobby,
and he just bounces back.
Right.
Right. You were losing your mind a little at Blobby.
Yeah, Blobby's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like the rules of Blobby are only like denser and stranger as it all goes on.
That dude crazy.
He's a little weird.
Yeah.
Like maybe someone should think about like what's up with Blobby. But that's like also again, honestly, how's he paying his rent?
Yeah.
And here's another thing.
He makes money out of blob.
Oh shit, that's pretty impressive.
That's actually a really good answer.
But all right. Here's the premise of Hotel Transylvania 3, which, as we should make clear, was written by Tartakovsky.
Yes, and Michael McCullers, who was an SNL guy, who I think they brought on
like the
to
Austin Powers
appease
sequels.
Sandler.
Right.
And then Tartakovsky got a co-writing credit. Really, this is kind of his movie.
Yes.
They kept Sandler at bay.
They did.
And Sony no longer has a relationship with. Like that's the other thing.
He left for Netflix anyway. So what does Sony fucking care? They don't need to appease him
anymore.
We'll
pay you to show up and do your thing.
And he does it. And you know what? Sandler's fine in the movie, but he definitely is more toned down. Like there's less of his silliness. He's still good.
And if the second one is more like that sort of like verbal gag, this one is really about movement.
So
like this
visual.
is all fucking just crazy movement.
So here's the premise of Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation.
HG3 SV.
he's stressed out. He wants to go on a date, maybe.
He's very lonely.
He's a little lonely.
Hasn't zinged in hundreds of years.
His daughter, Mavis, misinterprets this.
Yeah.
Maybe Wavy. Misinterprets this as like he needs a break.
Yeah.
So she books him on a surprise cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also books tickets for everyone.
That's the question. Here's my question. I get putting him on the cruise, but did she in the hotel say to everyone who's paying to be at the hotel, I assume, hey, do you want to buy new tickets for a new hotel experience on a boat while you're on your endless vacation?
Because Mavis, Johnny, Dennis, and Drac going on a cruise ship makes total sense. Drac extending the invite to...
But he doesn't because it's a surprise to him.
Right.
So everyone's there, though.
Even Mavis extending the invite to, let me get his 5 closest friends.
Right.
Murray, Frank, Griffin, let me bring them in.
Yeah.
The floating brain guy, the skeleton couple.
Everyone's fucking the Bigfoot guy. He can't even fit on the boat. You just see his leg.
Other monsters found out about the cruise because there was targeted advertising to other monsters.
Well,
that's a good point.
Ben is so smart.
Because they're watching TV.
Ben is so smart.
And then you see, an ad.
For monsters.
Right, for, are you a monster? Come on this cruise. But okay, then what the fuck? Where's their brand loyalty?
Yeah.
They don't like the hotel?
Yeah.
They all decide to, is this...
And they're leaving a vacation to go on a different vacation. Like, we packed our bags from our home to go stay at a hotel, and now we're going to repack our bags.
Who has ever done this? Who has ever left one vacation to go on another vacation spontaneously? It's crazy.
Murray the Mummy. I retort, the answer is Murray the Mummy.
Right, sure.
No, it makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't
This
make
is like an
any
update
sense.
on the George Carlin bit, A Place for My Stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Right.
It's a weird thread in this movie that, at the end of the first one, when they go into the town to try to get Johnny, right? Like, Johnny's going to fly, and he realizes that he's crushed Mavis by sending her love away. Because Johnny denies. He says that he could never be with a monster, right?
Right.
So he goes and chases after Johnny. They have to go out into the real world.
Right.
And when they go into town, they realize there's a monster fest.
Right.
And these people now love monsters.
Right.
They're not scared of them anymore. They're excited. They're huge fans.
Right.
Frank gives a big speech about how they need their help, and they all help Dracula get to the plane, turns to a bat, gives this thing, right?
Right.
The second one just takes place in a world where now it's like monsters and humans are really cool with each other.
Right. There's this thing where the walls have fallen down.
Right. There's
but
no
we
segregation
never see
anymore.
humans. Apart from Johnny's parents.
Right, come in, and then what the 15-minute California section, where Johnny's parents bring over other mixed couples.
Yeah, and the joke is one of the
guys is just a weirdo beardo,
right? Just and what was I going to say? But the premise of Hotel Transylvania is still that it's a hotel for monsters.
Right.
It's not like it's not a hotel for monsters anymore. And it's not like they don't just all hang out with their monster friends.
Well, I think they mention they've expanded it and are trying to attract more humans.
Yes.
Because that's what Johnny is
That's his job. But he's not working very hard.
No.
Well, he's not good at his job.
He's blazing
he sucks at his job.
Blazing at 420.
He's just like this fucking millennial, just barely working hard and everything
Jesus,
just
leave
comes
millennials
his way.
alone, Ben. Hotel Transylvania 3.
Right. So
can we talk about the most important part of the movie?
What is it?
Bobby vomits and creates another Bobby.
No,
I know, we already talked about
I
it.
like that a lot.
Okay, fine.
The most important part of the movie is Gremlin Airlines.
Oh, thank you.
All right, This is so good. This is so
I've
good.
seen it a long
This is so
time.
good.
Should have been the whole movie.
I was so happy about it.
100%.
And the best thing about it is there's no intro. It's just we get it. You know what I mean? It's what if an airplane was terrible and a bunch of gremlins and all they do is want to destroy you?
That's the Mad Magazine thing. It's we're
It's
going
just fucking
off
funny.
of the common collective pop culture knowledge base, and we're just riffing
It's
on
really funny because here's how they're introduced. There's an establishing shot of a plane. I think it's called Regular Airlines.
Yes.
And it's just in the air. And
Like
then we
whip
pan
pan.
left,
Yeah.
right. And it's Gremlin Airlines, and it's like a fucking Zeppelin that's falling apart or whatever, right? It's like the flight of the
Steam
Phoenix.
coming off of
Yeah,
it.
right. And There are a bunch of gremlins. They look like the gremlins from Gremlins.
They're
basically.
tearing apart the plane as they're flying it.
They, like, what else do they do?
The stewardess does everything. You're not like unbuckle your seatbelt. Right. Like she's slamming people's like feet with the carts.
I also love that it's like all this
so
really
funny
aggro, assholey behavior, and also constantly coming around with the drink cart, which I like they're listing as the same level of irritation. Like getting physically attacked is as bad as having someone come by and offer soda.
I think Gremlin Airlines. It is the perfect example of what Tartakovsky's doing, which is like, why don't we just load it with funny jokes, weird visual jokes, just like every frame will just be chaos. It'll be like all this fun stuff happening.
The landing is so funny.
The landing, they just dive bomb into the water. It's funny. It's all funny.
And she's still got the drink cart going.
Yeah, it's fucking,
it's good shit. And then they land in the Bermuda Triangle, which is where this ship starts.
Right.
And you realize it's Erica Van Helsing, great-granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, the lineage of these monster hunters.
Right, because there's this prologue where you see the Van Helsings like over and over again trying to kill Dracula.
Like this Wile E. Coyote bit of him constantly being this close to killing Dracula and then getting injured himself. And she now has created this cruise ship for monsters.
Sure.
Try to get them all on there so that her great-grandfather, who is still alive, is now a steampunk cyborg man.
Yes, that's also funny.
Yes.
Right. That he's a weird robot and it takes forever for the steam thing to move.
3 is insane.
3 is a lot.
3 has weird ideas.
It does.
Because the way they want to kill them.
For example, like they go on a second vacation. No, they do dismiss that almost immediately. You know, they like now acknowledge the joke and they're done with it.
Right. But they do, like the notion is, the MacGuffin of the movie is that the only way to kill a monster is to unleash whatever killed everyone in Atlantis, because apparently Atlantis was a city of monsters.
I guess so.
So it's the Kraken is the only monster that can kill other monsters.
Right. Van Helsing's idea, I guess, is right. Like,
and Atlantis is
I
now
can't do it.
Vegas?
A casino.
Well, that's funny.
But who goes there if no one is aware of Atlantis?
None of it makes sense because it's like that's the thing I kept wondering. It's like I know that this particular cruise was like a magnet for the monsters.
Yeah.
But the way it's run feels like it happens all the time. And Erica alludes to growing up on the boat.
Yeah.
So, like,
is she doing this to other monsters?
What's going on here? Do the fish know about it? There's these fish with legs, which is another insane gag.
You only
like
ever see them in profile.
Demento shit. Right.
Right. It's a classic animation thing where they're not three-dimensional.
Right. And they're all voiced by Chris Parnell. They're all the same. And they're like butlers and stewards and all this stuff.
Right. And the best bit with them is that they have the kids club. Which Wayne and his wife cannot comprehend the idea that people will take their kids off of their hands.
Right.
And give them free time.
Trying to,
And then these fish are just constantly being attacked by these wolf pups.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a funny sequence.
Yeah.
When they're like explaining the concept of daycare.
Yeah.
Which like, it's a 5-star hotel. Why doesn't the original hotel have daycare?
And here's another thing.
The fuck? Sorry. I mean,
David, can you write a Yelp review?
I'm just noticing some flaws.
Because we were texting the other day about these movies, and you were saying what a good businessman he is. And now I feel like you're looking into it in terms of that he made it financially sustainable.
But then when you're like, wait a second, what is the business model, right? And who's paying? And doesn't he just own the castle anyway? Like,
it's
does he have to pay rent?
that he's a hotelier while being a single father, but also the business maybe isn't that sound.
But it is kind of like, it's like every room has to be tailored to the specific needs of the monsters.
There's
like
the bed with the little
fish.
fleas.
Right. Yeah. Like,
does he have to pay the zombies, or is it?
Yeah, right. Has he just brought them back from the dead? Yeah, the 3 lacks zombies.
It does in a major way.
Because the fish are sort of the replacement for the zombies.
Weird that 3 also opens with a wedding.
It does. It opens with the pufferfish wedding.
Right. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But the plot is that Erica is supposed to kill Dracula, but Abraham wants it to happen with the Kraken.
Erica also 100% looks like a Popeye character.
She does.
She looks like Famous Studios.
She's got the pointy
the eyes, what
chin.
you were saying, the weirdly flat eyes. Yeah.
But then we also met a new friend in this movie. My boy.
Hi, Bob.
Bob, a.k.a. Tinkles.
So this is great. It's 2 jokes that I like.
Throughout the movie.
Okay, so for one, obviously Ben's all over Tinkles because the joke of Tinkles is that the kid got a dog, the Denisovich. But
which was like a short.
The dog is.
It was a short on the DVD for 2.
But the dog is like 40 times the size of him. The dog is like the size of a house.
Yeah.
And it's like a pug. It's sort of like, or some kind of like a little silly dog, but it's giant.
And they get on the boat and no pets allowed. So they put a trench coat and a hat on him. And then they go, this is Bob. And suddenly the dog can speak, but can only say, hi, Bob.
Right, which is weird.
There's no internal logic in this movie.
They don't explain how he says that.
They don't explain anything.
Yeah, that's true. They don't like, well, whatever. But yeah, I love the dog, the big dog joke. I love always the you put him in a trench coat and everyone thinks he's a person joke. That's like one of the top 10 greatest jokes.
Oh, it's always good.
It's always good.
And then they have the perfect payoff in this, which is when
his hat falls off, everyone's like, wait, it's just Tinkles. It's
and
funny that the ruse worked. Right?
The hat is small. Sized. So the hat's like
Guys,
a
this is a good movie.
It.
I might bump it up a star.
Funny. See?
This is funny.
Come on.
Like this, the third one is just Airplane. Like the third one is just like there's no real narrative, like integrity to this thing. It's just funny shit and just weird visual shit.
Also has a ton of slobber.
There's multiple times that he like coats a room.
Yes,
in slobber.
Yeah.
What are the two things? Big, wet.
Shit. Fuck. God damn it.
He's blown this wide open.
Jesus fucking Christ. Shit. Asshole.
I know everything's different.
Everything's different now.
So, what else we got? So there's the plot here. Also, you got Mavis is sort of having to deal with the fact that her dad might have zinged with someone new,
and it's kind of flipped.
You only
now.
zing once.
She's the one who's worried about him.
Right.
He gets really goofy once he falls in love with Erica. They have him turn into like Charlie Brown Squiggle Mouth, which is another visual I always love. His like head droops all the way into the center of his chest, and he just goes, "Happy birthday, boo-boo." Another thing, just inexplicably fine.
Not really returned to.
Kind of dumb, incredibly effective.
And eventually Erica realizes that Dracula isn't so bad. He keeps trying to save her life when she's getting the tentacle thing, the tentacle statue.
Which is a sweet sequence, and then also turns into a dance routine where she keeps on stepping on these traps.
Oh, we should mention that all of these movies end with dance sequences.
Yes.
Like another thing about Drac is that he loves dancing. He likes like break dancing.
Well, because in the first one they're playing the party and Frank and Murray and all of them, their band is going to play, which sucks. And then Johnny sort of like takes over. And then in the final party sequence, after Johnny's done his like musical number, he hands the mic to Drac, and Drac raps for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
And then dances like a motherfucker.
Yeah, the rapping I could do without, but the dancing I like.
Yeah. And then the second one, they play I'm in Love with a Monster 3 more times. What's the dance sequence at the end of...
They just fucking have a dance party. What are you talking about? There's no explanation.
But the third one, like, it goes, like, insane because this Kraken, who originally was, like, a lounge singer, crooner,
this is some
played by Joe Jonas.
Played by Joe Jonas, which is weird.
Okay,
so they show up at Atlantis. Atlantis is like a honky-tonk casino town, which I think is funny.
I do too.
I'm laughing.
Yeah, I'm larfing. Yeah.
Kraken, right. Oh, he's so scary. It turns out, right. He's got a microphone.
Atlantis. Yeah, and that's the bit. But then Van Helsing opens up the thing.
Scroll.
Sheet music.
The sheet music, very important.
Right.
Plays the sheet music.
Activates the Kraken.
Makes the Kraken evil.
Johnny's flipping out because he's like, I love good EDM.
I like that it's more than that just they have to stop the Kraken.
Yeah.
Johnny is actively mad that music is being used to do something bad.
He's warping the thing that he loves. And Johnny's already had his whole philosophical speech, which he took from like some kung fu equivalent show about finding tranquility within oneself. But now he gets really fucking worked up about this thing. He's got his backpack. He's got all the DJ equipment. Drac's like, you just had all of that on you.
Right.
And they're trying to find the song to calm down the Kraken. And they play Don't Worry, Be Happy. They play, what's the other one they play?
What's the first one?
Oh, Good Vibrations.
Yeah, Good Vibrations. Then Don't Worry, Be Happy. Right. I like that the songs get worse.
Yes.
Because the idea is it has to be such a filthy earworm that you just cannot get rid of.
And then a thing that I never believed I would consent to existing in a movie that I like, that I would in any way approve of a film that uses the Macarena as its Deus Ex Machina.
So he plays the Macarena, but it is woven densely into the plot because listen, I'm going to talk for a second.
Please.
One, there's that idea that it has to be such an inescapable earworm, right? That like it dominates this fucking satanic Kraken music.
It just has to be pure joy, positivity.
2, it compels you to dance.
Big part.
And it compels the sheet music. The very sheet dances to the Macarena and tears itself in twain. I love that so much.
These movies are insane.
That the sheet music is so into the Macarena that it dances itself into shreds.
Yeah.
I have another thing to say about the Macarena.
Please.
One, I looked it up today. It turns out it's about a lady called Macarena. Did you know that? That's what the lyrics are
They're
about.
trying to get her attention. Hey, Macarena.
They're just talking about how nice she is. Like they have like a crush on her. 2, all right. Macarena, big hit 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The dance, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the dance. The like sort of, jungle beach beat, which is kind of what made it a hit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
Yeah.
People don't give enough credit to the 2 old guys
Yes.
who sing the song. They're great.
Or wearing suits.
Yeah, they're just these 2 old guys.
In suits.
Los Del Rio.
Yes.
They're just a couple old guys. I think they've like been doing this shit for 1,000 years.
2 nice men catcalling an innocent woman. They choreograph dance.
They're like, I think they're Spanish, and they just
They must be dead by now, right?
No, they're still fucking
Really?
going. They're kicking ass.
That's the other crazy
Antonio
thing.
Romero Monge
Yeah.
and Rafael Ruiz Perdigones.
That song is
That
fully...
was a cold read.
Good job.
I'm not sure if I nailed that.
That song is fully 20 years old now.
Yes, and it was originally just the them singing part, and then someone comes in and remixes it with the beat, and the dance gets added, and that's when it boom.
But it's such a weird thing to put into this movie because I feel
very weird because kids don't know what it is, or do they? I don't know. Maybe they do.
No, I feel like there are other songs like that kids now know as like memed, like Never Gonna Give You Up and things like that.
Shake It Off.
I don't think kids have a knowledge. I don't think people have done postmodern Macarena
I think
references.
it's still out there in the ether a little bit, but yeah,
it's a very weird choice.
Here's what the choice is. I think to them, they're like, well, parents will get it because it's the Macarena. Yeah. Kids will like it because it's a dumb song that's easy to like. I mean, they're like, people liked it 20 years ago.
That was the appeal of it the first time
up
around.
In the 90s.
I guess it's like the I like to move it shit Madagascar, which I hate. And so for some reason I watch it in this, I'm just like, okay, Jendi gets a pass.
Yeah, no, but do you think they just called Crazy Frog and he was like, I need like 2 million, and they were like, no, they just sort of kept calling.
That's not how he said it. He said, I need 2 million.
They called like the Venga Boys.
I was just saying they called Lou Bega.
And then finally
Frankie says, relax.
Like Los Del Rio were like, oh, of course, you can have it 100 grand. Like, I'm from Spain. Like, I don't and they were like, great, perfect. Like, it's Tartakovsky. It's the Macarena. Start making them do the Macarena.
It's a crazy movie. You and I both turned to each other the second it ended and went, they're not going to make him make a 4, are they?
I don't know,
and it's going to make so much money, and I feel like, Gendy, you got to walk away.
Right.
I don't know, what now, but the guy makes 3 huge hits. If Sony won't let him make his real movie now, they're never going to.
Move on. Go work for a different company. I don't know.
Do you know that in his fallow period where he was trying to get a feature made and couldn't, that he also did storyboards for live action movies? He designed a bunch of the action sequences for Iron Man 2.
He's got such a visual sense.
Yeah, but big directors were bringing him in to previs shit.
You want to talk about Mothersbaugh? You were looking at Mark Mothersbaugh.
Oh, I thought we should mention he did all 3 films.
Good scores.
He does great scores. I like his Ragnarok score a lot.
Do you want to hear the coolest fucking thing in the world? I was catching up with old gate lockings. He did a Marin about a year ago.
Yeah. Who are your tracks? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who are your blobs?
Who are your cone hats? But he energy domes. But he said when he started doing commercial jingles.
Mothersbaugh you're talking about, right.
Because his into scoring was Pee-wee's Playhouse because he was friends with Paul Rubens. He didn't think he was going to be a composer. Did that, was like, oh man, I love this. And then started doing commercial jingles. And Marin was like, so why do you want to do commercial jingles? And he was like, well, I just found out about subliminal messaging. And I thought this is a good vehicle to do that. And he was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, I would get hired to do these commercial jingles. And I did Hawaiian Punch. And, the end of the theme went like, doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. And I put into the mix me saying, sugar is bad for you. And he was like, really? And did you get in trouble? And he was like, no, I did that for 15 years. For 15 years, every commercial jingle Mark Mothersbaugh did, he would put subliminal messages in that went against the product.
That's so cool.
Right? Sugar is bad for you.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And he said they finally got onto it and were like, the end of the road, buddy.
Yo, straight up, one of the cooler people
Oh, Mark Mothersbaugh.
that is alive right now.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
I made it through a whole episode.
Of the children's cartoons.
Okay, can I do a merchandise spotlight?
No, we're doing the third box office game. Yeah, fine. Do a merchandise spotlight.
We're going to get the two things ready at the same time. Third box office game. It opened to what? 49?
44.
Oh, so it's a little lower.
A little lower, but then I think it's been making more.
Midweek it's been making.
Yeah, it's been doing. What the fuck is this? I don't. It looks like soap. I can't tell what it is.
They're called Hotel Transylvania Monster Mayhem trunks.
Oh, is it like there's little toys inside them?
Yeah, there's a key
Oh, wow.
and a little trunk, and you get a monster and stickers inside.
Do we each get like 2? You got
Correct.
like 8 of them. How many did you? 6? Did you get
Bought
6?
a 6-pack from Amazon.
Are they going to be all different? Like
They should all be different. Hopefully, they're how many? They're like fucking 30 different characters. Now, I got to pre-warn you. Here's the bad news. Some of them are characters from the cartoon show.
Oh, fuck that. I don't want the rooster or whatever.
Wendy Blobby, who's like fucking... Oh, so now Blobby has a daughter who can talk?
She can talk?
Yeah, it sucks. She's like a nerd.
Oh, God.
Okay, so you got the little
Give
key
me
on
your
the side.
scissors. I don't have any... Oh, there aren't. Yeah. Yeah, here. There you go. There's a corkscrew.
You got a
in
little
here.
key,
Is
and
this
you
for
got
Snooki?
you got to put the key in the thing.
Oh, you pop it open.
I got Mavy Wavy.
Hey, Mavis!
I got Mavis. Look at that.
Who doesn't like Mavis?
Everyone likes Mavis.
She's the best character, right?
Yeah, she is. I like Mavis and Wayne. Those are my best monster friends.
Yeah, Wayne's pretty cool. That's Buscemi.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Who'd I get here? Oh, the mummy. I got the mummy. Oh, no, he's got like
it's
a hat.
the boy.
It's like
his son
child.
from the TV show.
Oh,
his name is
God.
Pedro. He sucks.
You see, I was expecting there to be more things in the chest. There's just one thing. to
Yeah,
be
I think
clear.
some chests maybe have more. What does it say? One monster, one trunk key, and a collector's gun. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought there was like a sticker or something. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, it's okay. I can handle it.
Apologies.
I can handle the disappointment for sure.
How you guys out there doing? You like this?
Everyone loves it.
Do you like this
I
part
thought we were
of the
going to play the box
podcast?
office game while this
Oh,
was
okay,
happening.
okay. So, yeah, it opened to 44.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a Marvel movie.
Oh, fuck. Well,
It
okay.
just opened. This just fucking happened.
I know, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, okay.
I've been saying, oh, fuck
So you
to
were
something
freaking out.
else.
What?
I got the shitty ant character.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
My take on Ant-Man and the Wasp, really good.
Yeah, it's actually great. I think it's good. I think it's almost underrated.
I didn't like it.
What?
You're a dumb idiot.
Yeah.
Wait, what's this that I got? I don't know what this is.
By the way,
This
when
must be from the TV
when I
show.
said dumb,
I did wonder though about almost like logistical stuff. The mobile little tiny house. No pipes. Where did the poop go?
Well, for one, okay, so other people have asked me this question. One, I'm
question.
like,
That's a good
here's question one I have for these people. How often do you think they're pooping? It's a lab. Like, they don't have to spend all their time in
you've
it.
already had this conversation
Yes.
with people? Wow.
Yes, I have. I'm friends with Jordan Hoffman.
Oh, right.
2, it's called composting. 3, this man has invented shrinking technologies. He probably just shrinks all the poops and puts them in a garbage can.
Oh, that's a really good point.
And the other thing is people like how it's powered, and people didn't point out, like, there are giant batteries on the wall that you see in a couple shots, like, because he can fucking enlarge them. Because he's got cool shrink
No,
technology.
that's a good
All right,
point.
he shrinks the poop.
Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't have enjoyed a sequence in which you see him shrinking the poop
Sure.
and then throwing it away in a doggy bag or whatever.
Right, and maybe it would be grossing a little more if he had included that in the film.
I got Bat Mavis.
Oh, that's a good get.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't talk about it. They can turn into bats,
Yes.
the vampires.
I-
I got this. I have no idea what's going on here.
Okay. So one of those is the shrunken head.
Oh, that's
door
who it is.
knocker.
Right.
Right. But then the other thing is some of these come with pieces
It's
of...
like Johnny's
No, it's
blue.
Hank. It's Hank, who's Frankenstein's son on the cartoon show. That's the other weird thing about the cartoon shows. All these people have kids, and then the movies, they're just negligent parents who never see their children.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like the cartoon show.
Who'd you get? You got the bat? I
Yeah.
want Mavis. I'm mad I didn't get Mavis.
I got Mavis. Wait, you opened both yours.
I got the mummy kid.
Right. And then, Ben, did you open both yours? No, you're opening your second one now. Maybe he's going to get Tinkles. What if he got Tinkles?
Tinkles would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Aunt Lydia. That's a dumb aunt character.
Wait, what
Mean
is
lady.
this?
Oh, that looks like the Blob nerd child.
I think you got Wendy Blob.
Dude, we got 6 of these and like 4 of them are from the cartoon.
I'm looking at this little guide that it came with, and they tell you the odds of getting characters, and the odds are stacked to getting characters from the cartoon show, which is dumb. Like, if you want, like, Captain America, it's like a 1 in 42 chance you get Captain America. Same with Drac. It's a 1 in 41 chance you get Drac.
This is like some pyramid scheme garbage.
Fuck this. I've made
This
a
is
terrible
the worst
mistake.
merchandise. How much did these cost?
It didn't cost much. I got 6 of these for $20.
Okay, but like, you know, you could have just gotten anything else.
It's American money. I could have spent it on food.
Why didn't you like Ant-Man?
I don't know. I might have been in the wrong mood to see it.
God, I loved it. I saw it again. Like it was
really,
it's probably my favorite like Marvel in a while. Like it's so fucking funny.
I'm just feeling frustration with the
goddamn
Marvel
genius.
thing. I like Peyton Reed. I'm feeling frustration with the Marvel thing.
But it doesn't have any Marvel thing. It's just like a great comedy where things get big and small.
You know, this is the thing though. I didn't laugh at like a single joke in the entire movie.
No,
you
didn't laugh at the Michael Pena stuff?
No, and I thought I would. I was right there. Maybe some of the Baba Yaga stuff.
That was good.
Yeah,
that's great. Baba Yaga, though.
I think the best part of this is actually just the little trunks.
Yeah, the trunks are pretty
The trunks
solid.
look like kind of Muppet monsters. I mean,
Yeah.
they have teeth and shit.
Anyway, Skyscraper is number 3. I gave it away. Skyscraper.
Oh yeah.
Takes place on a skyscraper.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean,
Didn't see it.
He should make less movies. I've been on the record. I've said this. He makes too many movies.
He does. He's overloaded right now. Did you see Skyscraper?
I did it.
Yeah, neither did I. All right, number 4, Incredibles 2. We already saw that.
Yeah.
Number 5 is another sequel. It's doing very well. Not quite as well as its predecessor.
It's really chill.
Is it?
It's a very chill sequel.
Yeah, it's so chill.
I don't know what he's talking
Jurassic
about.
World Fallen Kingdom?
Yes. Why are you saying it's chill?
Just like good time. Everyone's having fun.
Did you see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
I've seen so little
No, I know. I'm
recently.
just finding out.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
I've been debating whether or not I ever will see it.
It's not very good, but I recommend seeing it anyway because it's kind of weird.
It sounds weird.
The second half of it is it's not great. The script is bad.
Yeah,
but the kind of weird haunted house idea is not the worst idea in the
kind of
world.
into that.
Like there's moments where I was kind of into it because it's so silly.
That's also more what I would want them to be doing with Jurassic.
Yes, the problem is the first half is garbage. Turn your fucking phone off.
Sorry, Romley's texting me.
How's Romley?
She said she wants to start a podcast.
Okay, go for it, Romley.
Have fun. We got a competitive advantage. It's called Two Friends. You can't do that.
We can find a friend to it with you.
We already cornered the
First
market.
Purge, you see that?
I don't know. That was the text. I haven't responded yet. First Purge, I haven't seen. I've seen almost nothing. This
Well, I'm
is
going to
gonna
run
be
down
really...
some movies. Just a yes or no. Sorry to bother you.
No.
Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
No.
Oh, you're missing out. Uncle Drew, you didn't see it?
No. That's top of my list. I hate sports, but I love old age makeup, and I love getting the team back together movies.
Right, which is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I watched that. It's solid. It's
Yeah.
not like quite as good as I was hoping.
Yeah, I wish it was
'Cause is
secretly
like,
a masterpiece.
I mean, it is like, a lot of the performances in the movie are from NBA players. And like, I'm not even, they're
I
actually
heard a
all
rumor about
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie definitely like makes Lil Rel Howery and Nick Kroll do a lot of the work just because like it knows they will be able to do it just fine.
Yeah.
But, like there has to be like emotional scenes between Kyrie Irving and Shaq. And like Shaq has to pull his weight there
You're
because like
selling me
Kyrie
so
Irving
hard on this
is
movie.
a newer actor.
Yeah.
But it's still like kind of good. I just wanted it to be goofier, and I feel like these like branded movies like that are based on it, this can't be that goofy. Like it should be
Sure.
it should be kind of a dirty movie, and it's like not really allowed to
Is
be.
there any Pepsi shit in the movie?
No, at least nothing that I really detected.
Okay.
But it's not bad, and I will say I saw it at went to a screening, and it is the only time at a screening when the security guard, there's always a security guard at the screen who's like making sure we don't film
laugh
the
at the
movie.
movie?
No, like was so into the movie that he sat down next to me and told me how much fun he was having and watched the whole movie with me. And we both like laughed a bunch.
That's a movie this summer.
And Ocean's 8, you were cut out of this one?
Was cut out. Haven't seen.
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
I have seen that.
It's okay.
Yeah, I also think that should have gotten the Judd Apatow 7-hour treatment.
Sure, I mean he's fascinating.
He's fascinating, and his career was so
The movie's
long,
a
and
little
there's so many
packed.
things that he touched culturally
Sure.
that it feels
You
like
could,
the
like,
movie
yeah, you could
has to be
flesh it
packed
out
because it has
more.
to get through things quickly. I also think they just literally didn't talk to enough people.
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
was watching and I was like, there are really only like 10 people they interviewed.
Yeah, you're right. You're
For a
right.
guy who, like, his legacy lasted decades.
But then, see, there's this other movie that's based on a story that's so true. Like, you wouldn't believe it. It's like the truest story ever.
Tag.
Tag.
Hanging in there.
Can you believe it?
Can't
Tag's
believe-
made money. 51.
Yeah. There've been a lot of quiet, like, 51s this summer.
You know what
also, no
movie
one
is like
talks about.
quietly a piece of shit?
What?
Tag. Not that good. Gonna be honest with you.
You know what's a box office performance that no one's talking about? Book Club is tiptoeing to like 70.
Yeah,
right?
Book Club's made 67.
Yeah.
68. Sorry, I'm checking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty. And 0 worldwide. I guess it'll roll out later.
I'm going to start the Oscar campaign now.
For Steenbergen?
No. Candace LeBron
She's
James
good.
Bergen.
She's good.
She's getting buckets that whole movie.
She is.
3-point shots from midcourt.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Buckets.
Yeah, we've got Deadpool 2. Kind of softly disappointed. Still did really well.
Well, look, it's like it feels disappointing, but then you think about the fact that there are Deadpool movies that make $300 million.
No, and you're right. And it's like,
insane.
holy shit.
Right.
Hereditary. Hereditary did great. Hereditary was like actually like kind of an amazing hit.
That's I think my 2 of the year, my number 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not me.
I loved it.
It's good. I like it.
Big fan.
What's your number 1 of the year?
You Were Never Really Here.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, I love it. And my number 3 is Hotel Transylvania 3.
Have you seen Leave No Trace?
I haven't seen that yet.
That I recommend.
Yeah, you love that?
Love that movie.
Is that your one right now? What's your number 1 again?
First Reform.
Right.
That fucking.
I saw First Reform.
Definitely.
I like First Reformed a lot. First Reformed.
But I think I recommend Leave No Trace because I feel like it won't last in theaters quite as long.
that's a
It's
bummer.
really, really, really good, and it's very, very understated. But so it's like kind of worth being in the theater with it. Like
Sure.
and it's just wonderful. I really
Something else I
recommend
saw. Oh, 3 Identical Strangers.
it. Yeah, I mean that's another one where it's like it's a holy shit story. Like honestly, where I'm like I don't think that's a very good movie, but
don't
if
either.
someone asked me like should I see it, I'd be like yeah, it's
wanna
a pretty
absorb
fun
this.
movie to watch.
Yeah.
It is genuinely nuts.
It also like isn't resolved, which is not the fault
Sure.
of the filmmakers. But
Sure,
the movie
that's
ends
true.
with this point where it's like, oh, there's all this information we're gonna get at some point in the next 20 years.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And then 8th grade.
I need
is
to
worth
see it.
seeing. That,
Yeah,
that's
I need to
good.
see everything.
I know you'll see it.
I'll see it all.
Ben, what's your favorite of the year?
Yeah, I also liked.
You liked
Were
You Never Really Here.
Here.
Annihilation. Did you dig that? It feels like a Ben movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I saw that I really liked. I'm looking at my movie pass
Hotel
history.
Transylvania 3.
Casper, Spirited.
I thought
Away.
Hereditary was really cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
But you wanted it to end with Satan going like that.
That was your big note.
Yeah.
That's his big note.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah.
It's weird that Satan hasn't been in any of the Hotel Transylvania movies.
Maybe they
Fucking Swamp
Sony wants
Thing,
to tiptoe
dude,
around.
Where's that fucker at?
Oh, yeah.
You want to get him in? You want to get him on board?
Yeah.
Maybe his quote's too high.
There's like a fishy guy in the first one who does that weird little dancey thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a gif. I've been sending you guys Hotel Transylvania gifs a lot recently.
Yeah, it's been great.
I'm a fun person to be friends with.
Yeah, you are. It's really fun that we did this episode. It probably was like 2 hours and 15 minutes long or something completely
Was it way
ridiculous
too
like
long,
that.
Ben?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got distracted.
Cool.
What?
Cut it out.
How long we going?
Long enough.
Okay, it's time to
It's
wrap it up.
2 hours and change.
Okay, done. End of episode. Done. Out of here. Thank you all for listening. Next week, business as normal. Ang Lee. Next week is
Ice Storm
The Ice Storm.
with special guest Emily Yoshida.
Mother of Blankies.
Great episode.
Now, six-time guest?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. I think we say at the beginning of the episode.
Probably.
Tune in for that.
Thanks to our sponsors, Hims and WeTransfer.
Yes.
Mhm.
And stay tuned for a dramatic reading of some burger reports. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. Thanks to Andrew Ferguda for our social media, Joe Bowen, and Pat Reynolds for our artwork, Lane Montgomery for our theme song. And as always, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Thank you for calling the Burger Report hotline. 802-8-BURGER. Please leave a message with your FAMO, type of burger, and location, and we will try to put it on the podcast if we can.
That's 802-8-BURGER.
Welcome to Burger Report Theater.
This is the bit.
We read Burger Reports submitted via the written word.
Mhm.
Dramatically.
Okay. Here's one
This is a text we received.
I am writing in with a burger report. Yeah, I saw now disgraced Kurt Schilling eating a burger. Get this, it was a wrap instead of a bun at Lux Burger in Providence, Rhode Island. Just want to fill in some details there. Now disgraced Kurt Schilling. He was like a pitcher, right? And then he's like a racist, I guess. I don't know. It's like
you're looking at me like I know
a bad guy on Twitter.
That seems to be a weirdly popular career trajectory these days.
Yeah, he went from kind of semi-famous athlete to racist.
Yeah,
I shouldn't slander him because I forget what bad thing he did, but he's like one of those people on the internet who's tweeting all day and everyone hates him. I don't know anything more than that.
That's a career move.
It's a career move. Well, good thing the next big report is about someone who has never done anything bad.
Go ahead. Take it away.
June 19th. 6:07 p.m. That's when the text was submitted.
Yeah, I didn't read the date line because it was just when we got the message.
I'm sorry. Let me start over. You threw off my rhythm. June 19th, 6:07 p.m. In 2015, I walked into a Shake Shack not too far from the UN with a couple of my friends. We ordered and then noticed there were intimidating big men, presumably security guards, guarding every exit of the restaurant. Paragraph break. A group of men were escorted inside by another group of men and seated at the table. It was Vladimir Putin.
It's actually crazy.
The day before, he had a meeting with Obama at the UN, so I know for sure he was in town. He was eating a hamburger with absolutely nothing on it, just a bun and the meat. If you need any greater evidence that he is a threat to our democracy, there it is. There's the smoking gun.
Just a bun and the meat.
Vladimir Putin is a fucking monster.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.